Chapter 321. C323 My mentality collapsed. Well. Situ Yan and Dabu looked strange. Could this slap come too soon? I was so awesome just now. I felt that my chess skills were invincible. I even thought that no one could win the first level. The result, we are all embarrassed for you. It shouldn't be. How can there be a second chess master in this world? He can actually surpass my 7 powers. Master Guanqi's face kept changing, and he kept mumbling in his mouth. It was obvious that this incident had a great impact on him. In ancient times, he was unrivaled in chess. Even with 7 powers, he was the best in the world and swept all chess opponents. Unexpectedly, today, a new chess master has emerged, posing a huge threat to him. Since it can beat his 7 successes, it means that the opponent's chess skill level is infinitely close to his. It is even possible to surpass him. When this thought flashed through his mind, the layman Guanqi immediately denied it. His deep eyes gleamed with brilliance, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Impossible, no one can defeat me. My chess skills are invincible." It was before and it is now. The chess-watching layman suppressed the distracting thoughts in his mind and sneered from the corner of his mouth, "I want to see who has such great ability." As he spoke, the old man in green said seriously to Situ Yan, "Fellow Taoist Situ, please take a break. I want to face that powerful opponent in person. The last round is crucial and affects the success or failure of the chess game between heaven and earth." "Please," Situ Yan said softly. At this point, what else could he say? I definitely have to agree. Afterwards, the layman watching chess closed his eyes, and his whole body was as motionless as a clay sculpture. Little did he know that his mind was already connected to the chess game of heaven and earth. At the same time, the interior space of the chessboard. The universe is vast and the stars are bright. A young man in black robes sat cross-legged, with long, snow-white hair that was like a waterfall draped over his shoulders. His face was plump and handsome, and his brows were slightly doubtful as he stared at the shadow of the old man who was gradually solidifying in front of him. "Why haven't you started yet? Are you doing some trick?" Yi Junlin frowned. Not long after the second round of chess started, he clearly felt that the opponent's level was much better than in the first round. However, he has the characteristic of becoming stronger when he encounters strong people, and it doesn't matter what level the other party is. "You can be strong as long as you are strong, but I will be strong when I am strong anyway." Therefore, even if his opponents in the second round were of a higher level, Yi Junlin always steadily suppressed him and won in the end. But now, seeing the start of the third round, the old man on the opposite side has not made any move, which makes Yi Junlin feel puzzled. Suddenly, the shadow of the old man sitting opposite was condensed into reality, and his eyes were shining with spiritual luster, staring at Yi Junlin in front of him. Is this the junior? After the mind successfully connected with the clone, Guanqi layman had a first-hand perspective and said secretly. At the same time, he also accepted the memory of his previous clone and had a clearer idea of Yi Junlin's chess-playing level. It's rare that in the Kunlun world of later generations, a new chess master is actually born, and his level is almost close to that of me. But in chess, a single step is like a chasm. This time, I will personally take charge, and you will definitely lose. The layman watching chess, eyes shone brightly, and he had absolute confidence in his own chess skills. And deep in his heart, he felt quite a bit proud of the elders teaching the younger ones. Snap! The layman watching chess picked up the black chess piece and landed it firmly and forcefully on the chessboard. "Hey, it's finally started. Let's get rid of this old guy like you as soon as possible so that I can get the reward as soon as possible." Yi Junlin's eyes lit up and he couldn't wait. Snort. Arrogant person. Hearing this, Guanqi Jushi laughed angrily and said in his heart, "Get a reward. What a beautiful thought. Soon your luck will belong to me." What he didn't know was that Yi Junlin was referring to system rewards. That's all. Both sides play against each other on the chessboard. The confident chess layman used what he had learned throughout his life and turned his lifetime experience into the strongest chess killer move. "Every time I make a move, I feel calm and steady as a mountain." The direction of the black chess piece turned into a ferocious black dragon, which was about to swallow up all the targets and kill all the white chess pieces on the board. It's interesting. Yi Junlin picked up a white chess piece with a playful smile on his lips. I saw that his expression was calm, and the moment he played chess was already invisible, triggering the passive effect of getting stronger when encountering a strong opponent, and his chess skills also improved with the opponent's level. The white dragon transformed into a white chess piece became even more fierce. It fought with the black dragon and gradually gained the upper hand. The black dragon was dismembered and scattered, and there were more white chess pieces on the board. How could? The layman who was watching chess noticed something was wrong, his eyelids jumped, and his attitude in playing chess also changed from decisive and straightforward at the beginning to hesitant later. He couldn't understand why every time he used his best chess moves, the opponent would easily solve them. The level he showed in the last round was only equivalent to his 8 successful power, so why would he still take advantage of him in this round? Forced to this point? Could it be that the other party was hiding his clumsiness before? I just don't believe that there will be a chess master who surpasses me in this era. You must be playing tricks. The layman watching chess became anxious and began to comfort himself. He hesitated for a long time every time he placed a chess piece. Until the situation became more and more uncontrollable and gradually collapsed, the mentality of the chess layman also cracked, and the hand holding the black chess piece was shaking. Hurry up, old man, I'm still waiting to get the reward. Seeing the old man opposite being hesitant, Yi Junlin urged angrily. In his opinion, the other party is just a personal computer. Could it be that he is too powerful and has tormented the other party to the point of death? Don't rush, don't rush. I can still make a comeback. The layman watching chess was extremely nervous. He was very afraid of failure because it was related to his future. But the more this happens, the more unsure he becomes, making every mistake one step at a time. Soon, the white chess on the chessboard formed a victory, which also showed that Yi Junlin won this round of chess. Hey, it's boring. Yi Junlin threw away the chess piece and spread his hands with a look of helplessness on his face. I actually lost. The layman watching chess trembled all over, his pain reached its peak, and he let out a hysterical cry. No, rumble. The entire chessboard space was shaking violently and began to collapse at a speed visible to the naked eye. What's going on? Yi Junlin stood up suddenly, looking surprised. With a crash, the chessboard was overturned. The layman watching chess pointed at Yi Junlin angrily and said angrily. It's all your fault. You ruined all my plans. You don't have to die well. You don't have to die well. His tone was tearful and full of hatred. Then, the shadow of the layman watching chess disappeared into nothing. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly. The sudden change of things also made him realize that this strange immortal relationship was a hidden mystery and was being manipulated. The old man in front of me is the culprit. Old man, if you dare to point your nose at me and scold me, I will follow the network cable and kill you later. Yi Junlin's eyes burst out with 2 beams of light, and he said coldly. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the mission and being rewarded with the invincible sword heart. Close black lens bracket. In my mind, the system beep sounded. Outside world. Within everyone's sight, the golden chessboard shadow suddenly dimmed, and there was a faint cracking sound. This vision made everyone stunned. What's going on? Look, the chess game of heaven and earth is about to collapse. Could it be that senior who successfully cleared the chess game? It's possible. There were many opinions and the mountains were noisy. No, can master really beat the chess master? Li Wuji was surprised. This, Hong Chenyi felt surprised and uncertain. Combined with his previous experience, he had reason to suspect that the other party was hiding something. Click, between heaven and earth, there was a crisp sound like a mirror being shattered, and the golden chessboard was shattered. Aha! A young man surrounded by fairy light appeared in midair, his long snow-white hair fluttering wildly, and his eyes so bright. Master, Senior Yi! Exclamations came and went. Yi Junlin glanced at everyone and said in a deep voice, I know what you are going to ask. Yes, I won. As soon as these words came out, there was a brief silence in the whole place, and then it was boiling. Someone actually defeated the chess master. In the crowd, Mr. Huang, who was a half-step chess master, burst into tears with excitement. He burst into tears and murmured, I will die with no regrets if I can meet the unparalleled chess master in the world. Compared to everyone's excitement, Yi Junlin seemed much calmer because he still had a very important thing to do. That is, hunt down the mastermind behind the scenes. The breath just now was in that direction. Yi Junlin immediately set off, turning into a stream of light across the sky and heading straight for his destination. Strange, where are you going, master? Hong Chenyi said in surprise as she looked at the disappearing figure. I don't know. Li Wuji shook his head in confusion. Qin Ruyan frowned and began to feel that something was fishy. Chapter 322. C324 Situ Yan, familiar feeling. At the same time, Situ Yan and the others were waiting quietly. Seeing that the layman watching chess was motionless, like a bastard, Dabu, who was a guard, couldn't help but stepped forward, pointed at the old man with his eyes closed, turned to Situ Yan and complained. Sir, look at this old guy. He hasn't made any movement yet. He's been playing chess for too long, right? Situ Yan said calmly. Don't talk nonsense. My fellow Taoist Guanqi has superb chess skills and will definitely win. However, it will take a certain amount of time. We can just wait patiently. Suddenly, the chess-watching layman's eyelids jumped, and there was an obvious change in expression on his face. Sensing movement, Dabu turned around subconsciously and blurted out, "It looks like it's about to end." Puff. At this time, Master Guanqi opened his eyes suddenly, his bloodshot eyes almost popped out, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood with pain on his face. Before Dabu could react, blood was sprayed all over his face. The smell of blood was extremely pungent, and his expression was like a mask of pain. Ah! Dabu quickly raised his sleeves and wiped away the blood stains on his face. He looked at Master Guanqi in surprise and anger. "Did you do this on purpose?" Fellow Taoist Guanqi, could it be that you, seeing the reaction of the old man in green, Situ Yan frowned and already had a guess in his mind. Even a fool can see what the result will be. How many years have passed since my debut? I have never lost a single game. My reputation as a chess guru has resounded throughout the chess world, and I have been hailed as an unparalleled chess sage. Unexpectedly, to this day, I have maintained the myth of being undefeated for a long time. There will also be a day when someone ends. The layman watching the chess game looked pale and depressed, and came to the conclusion with lingering fear, in terms of chess skills, this piece is so terrifying. I recall that when I played chess, my opponent's performance was always higher than his, and I had a bottomless feeling, which cast a heavy shadow in my heart. Not only did the game he worked so hard this time fall short, but the disastrous defeat also had a great impact on his state of mind. It's like losing all your money. Looking at the listless layman watching chess, Situ Yan suddenly became curious, who has such great ability to defeat this veteran chess master like this? The quick-thinking Situ Yan felt that if this kind of talent could be used by him, it would be a good thing. Friend Guanqi, can you cast a spell to manifest the opponent's image? I would like to witness it. The chess-watching layman was upset and waved his sleeves. See for yourself. It's this kid. With a wave of his sleeve, a slightly blurry figure appeared. It was Yi Junlin that the chess layman remembered. Seeing this familiar figure, Situ Yan's expression suddenly changed and he exclaimed, "How could it be him? It seems that you know me." The layman watching chess had a gloomy face and was filled with anger. He wanted to cut the chess piece into 8 pieces, peel the skin and boil it into oil to light the sky lantern. Have you forgotten? He is the strongest immortal emperor of your era, Emperor Yi Tian. Situ Yan stood up in a panic, the sense of crisis in his heart getting stronger. The layman watching chess was stunned, his face full of confusion. The strongest immortal emperor, Emperor Yi Tian. Why have I never heard of such a legendary figure? Fellow Taoist Situ, don't try to lie to me. In my time, there was no such thing as Emperor Yi Tian. The layman watching chess said solemnly. Now it was Situ Yan's turn to be dissatisfied. What do you mean, you old thing? Are you questioning this young master? I think you lost the chess game and became obsessed, and your brain became difficult to use, right? Can you even forget such important information? Friend Guanqi, if you don't recall it for a while, I can recall it for you. Situ Yan said solemnly, that Emperor Yi Tian once suppressed the dark turmoil in your ancient times and saved the people of the world. He has unparalleled fighting power and is invincible in the same situation. Now, do you remember? Hear the words. Countless question marks appeared on the head of layman Guanqi. His face was full of confusion, very confused. No, what is this? This kind of impressive sounding deed is impossible for me to have never heard of back then. The problem is, are you lying? I remember that there was no such figure in the Kunlun world back then. After the layman Guanqi took a deep breath to calm down, he said in a deep voice. Fellow Taoist Situ, you must have been deceived by wrong information. He is not the Emperor Yi Tian you said at all, and there was no so-called dark turmoil in ancient times. Situ Yan was stunned for a moment and re-examined the old man in green clothes in front of him. His eyes seemed to be looking at a fool, with 3 parts sadness and 7 parts pity. Gee, this old guy is so pitiful. It seems that after being really shocked, part of the memory is lost in the brain, and even a person as awesome as Yi Tiandi can forget it. The most important thing is to deny the past history. You know, forgetting history is tantamount to betrayal. The layman watching chess fell into silence. What's going on? Why does he feel that the other party seems to be sympathizing with him? Fellow Taoist Situ, you have really been misled by wrong information. It is absolutely true that there was no such person as Emperor Yi Tian in ancient times. As an old man, don't you still believe it? The layman watching chess patiently persuaded. Unexpectedly, Satu Yan nodded with a smile. Yes, everything you said is right, as long as you are happy. Guanchi layman, are you kidding a fool? Do you need to cover up so obviously? No matter how hard Guanchi layman tried to explain, Satu Yan kept saying yes, 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 and kept smiling, but his eyes looked like he was looking at a poor fool. In Satu Yan's view, when Yi Junlin came to the underwater king city, he easily killed the sea whale ancestor with his terrifying strength, and the supreme method he used during the period perfectly interpreted his identity. That is the supreme method among the immortal methods. Have you ever seen an immortal king-level creature who can perform it at will? Moreover, even his apprentice personally told the origin of his master. How can this information be false? I think you, old thing, are confused. You can't even remember such a thing. Because they had fought before, Satu Yan had already regarded Yi Junlin as his #1 enemy, and he was also convinced that he was the origin of Yi Tiandi. Seeing that Guanchi Lashi was always explaining, Satu Yangquan thought he was just making a foolish excuse. Poor Guanchi Lashi, as an orthodox resurrectionist in ancient times, his words were not believed by outsiders. Just then, a rumbling thunder came from the horizon. A clear voice resounded between heaven and earth, with a strong murderous aura filling every inch of space. Old thing, I know you are hiding in there, die. Chila, a sharp sound similar to the tearing of silk resounded through the sky, and an exquisite illusion array arranged outside was instantly destroyed. The peach trees all over the mountains and plains withered and decayed. From a distance, Yi Junlin held a golden fairy sword, standing tall in the sky, his eyes like two bright beams of light, full of oppression. Guanchi Lay Buddhist was shocked and angry. You are too much. Not only did you ruin my good deeds, but you even dared to come here. Fellow Taoist Satu, please join hands with me to get rid of this arrogant guy. Due to the psychological shadow of the last time, Dabu was trembling with fear. Young master, he is coming. When Satu Yan saw Yi Junlin, he was frightened like a mouse seeing a cat. Afterwards, without the slightest hesitation, he raised his personal guard with an ugly face, decisively pinched his fingers and performed the secret method of escape. Run, Shua. The two figures disappeared in a flash and disappeared in an instant. While running away with the bucket, Satu Yan suddenly felt this unpleasant feeling. Very familiar. Chapter 323. C325 Sorry, I have to sell my teammates again. Just like the last time in the Undersea King's city, he also ran away in such a hurry. Emperor Yi Tian, remember, I am not afraid, this is called a strategic retreat. Satu Yan suppressed the embarrassment in his heart and silently comforted himself. After all, after witnessing Yi Junlin's strength, Satu Yan knew that this was an invincible human immortal king. Even if he chose to go all out, his chances of winning would be very slim. Unless you use the Ring of Order to take advantage, you will never be able to defeat the opponent. But how can the Ring of Order be used now? This is the most precious treasure of the Light Clan that can cause the target to temporarily lose his cultivation level. His original intention was to guide the resuscitators to gather together, and then use this object to wipe out this group of veteran ancient warriors. Let's do it once and for all and avoid future troubles forever. If the Ring of Order is used against Yi Junlin, how should the subsequent plan be carried out? What Satu Yan wants is to maximize profits. Admittedly, getting rid of the temptation of Emperor Yi Tian made him feel excited. But if we can kill the rest of the resuscitators and maximize the value of the Ring of Order, this operation will definitely be more perfect. So, faced with Yi Junlin's strong attack, Satu Yan could only swallow his anger, avoid its edge and continue to run away with the bucket. He is waiting for an opportunity that can subvert the Kunlun world. As for his newly made ally Guanchi Layman, Satu Yan gave up without any hesitation. After all, allies can be found again. I have to say. Satu Yan reacted very quickly, even burning his own essence and blood, frantically squeezing out the potential in his body, and performing one of the top 5 escape techniques in Heaven: Holy Light Escape. Holy Light Escape is a famous escape technique in the Heaven world. Only members of the royal family of the Light Clan are qualified to practice it. As soon as this method comes out, everything changes instantly. In just a few breaths, Satu Yan left Kangmu Prefecture and went straight to hide in remote places in other big prefectures. This speed makes even immortal emperor-level creatures feel outrageous. At this time, seeing Satu Yan and the others disappear in an instant, the chess layman stood there as if petrified, dumbfounded. Is there any mistake? The proud genius of the royal family of the Guangming clan is actually so cowardly. What about the common advance and retreat agreed upon before? As for Satu Yan's immediate escape, Guanxi Layman felt very depressed and couldn't understand it. In his eyes, as long as everyone joins forces, are they afraid that they won't be able to suppress this rising star? In my opinion, it was because someone had spread rumors about your origin before that Satu Yan misled you about your identity. After thinking about it carefully, the layman watching chess felt that this possibility was even greater. His eyes flashed with a sharp light and he sneered, "Junior, you can deceive others but you can't deceive me." Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. He clearly felt a breath slipping away very fast just now. It could be said that it was fleeting and unpredictable. But now, the mastermind behind the world chess game is here, and Yi Junlin has no choice but to deal with this person first. "Old guy, you were the one who scolded me in the chessboard's face before." Yi Junlin sneered, raised the golden fairy sword with his right hand, and pointed the tip of the sword directly at the old man in green in the distance. Feeling the powerful aura of cultivation coming from in front of him, Master Guanxi's expression suddenly changed, his forehead was covered with sweat, and he gritted his teeth and said, "It's amazing that you can actually cultivate to this point. But it's not that easy for you to kill me." Due to the backlash, Guanxi Layman himself was in poor condition, but the situation was pressing, so he had no choice but to forcefully use the forbidden technique. Boom! An extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body, spreading in all directions like a hurricane. The ground cracked, sand and rocks flew, and the scene was like a sandstorm. When the chess layman raised his head again, his eyes were as red as the sea, veins protruded on his face, and his expression was extremely ferocious. In addition to the burning essence and blood in his body, he also has a huge amount of longevity. It can be said that as long as it lasts for one stick of incense, the layman Guanxi will run out of life and die. Fortunately, this huge sacrifice can be exchanged for unparalleled terrifying power. During this period, his condition can not only return to the peak, but even far surpass his heyday. I have become an immortal through the way of chess. I have been on this road for a long time. During these long years, I have combined my own advantages and continuously created immortal methods related to the way of chess. Even if an ordinary immortal emperor comes in person, I can use chess skills to deal with him. Junior, you ruined my big business, and now you have forced me to this point. If you don't die, God will not tolerate it." The old voice of the layman watching chess was as hoarse as sandpaper, containing deep murderous intent and hatred. It turned into sound waves and spread across thousands of miles, making the livers and gallbladders of birds and beasts burst and the hairs on their hair stand on end. Aha! He suddenly shook off his sleeves and robe, revealing terrifying fluctuations of immortal power. Create something out of nothing. In an instant, countless black and white chess pieces emerged around each other, and then condensed at an incredible speed, turning into a black dragon and a white tiger respectively. Go! The layman Guanxi pointed his finger, and his majestic voice contained overwhelming murderous intent. The black dragon howls and rushes with the rolling evil spirit. Its huge dragon head can block the sun, and it shows its teeth and claws, full of fierce power. The white tiger's momentum was swift and fierce, and it rushed out of the sky. Its size was comparable to that of a mountain. It was made up of a large number of white chess pieces, and the chess pieces could be vaguely seen floating on its body. Roar! Tigers roar and dragons roar, deafening. Cut! Yi Junlin uttered a word, shocking the world, and swung the golden fairy sword in his hand in an instant. The sword light tore the sky and earth, separating yin and yang. The black dragon and the white tiger were unable to resist and were cut into two pieces. Who would have thought that after being cut into two pieces, the body turned into black and white chess pieces again and gathered together, and the aura on the body only decreased slightly. Such a strange scene stunned the few people who happened to arrive in the distance. Especially Lin Dusho and others who had never seen the Fairy King fight, and they were shocked to see this scene. It turns out that everything was done by that old monster. Hong Chenny said in a deep voice. Qin Ruyan frowned, I wonder if Senior Yi can deal with the opponent's difficult chess skills. Fairy Qin, who is my master? This kind of trick is not worth mentioning. Just watch it carefully, Li Wuji said proudly, revealing great confidence. As soon as the voice fell, the black dragon and the white tiger rushed to Yi Junlin, determined to strangle this rice-like figure to death. Young man, in front of my chess skills, you can only die. Guanxi Layman roared like a madman. Really, Yi Junlin was calm and waved the golden fairy sword in his hand again. This time, the sword shadows were layered and dazzling. The majestic murderous aura surged like a raging wave, filling every inch of the void in the world. Immortal killing sword technique. With the blessing of the invincible sword heart, the power of the sword technique is incomparable. Suddenly, the black dragon and the white tiger were enveloped by countless sword shadows, and the terrifying murderous aura covered their bodies like an ulcer attached to the bone. Soon, they dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye, and there was no possibility of recovery. Guanchi Layman was shocked and his face was extremely ugly. Old man, if you don't have any other options, just go on the road now. Yi Junlin sneered and swung his sword to cut him. You brat, don't be so arrogant. The chess master was furious and shouted with his hands in a seal, endless chessboard. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, a huge chessboard appeared at Yi Junlin's feet. This was not over yet. Countless chessboards followed, densely packed around him, as if trapped in a cage built by the chessboard. Hee, you want to trap me? Yi Junlin said. You guessed half right. The chess master's face was ferocious. The most important thing is that I still want you to die. After saying that, the hand seal changed. The chessboard is destroyed. Boom, the densely packed chessboards exploded one after another, releasing terrifying energy that even caused ripples in the void, and the majestic airflow whistled in, more violent than 100,000 tornadoes. The scene was thrilling, like the end of the world. It is no exaggeration to say that even if the previous sea whale ancestor was hit by this move, even if his body was extremely strong, if he endured the full force of the explosion, he would be dead and his soul would be destroyed. Chapter 324, C326 Young Taoist Friend. Die, die for me, Guanchi Layman shouted hysterically, his eyes bloodshot. With the continuous burning of his blood essence and lifespan, even if he could survive today, it would be difficult for him to make further progress in his cultivation. The ending that awaited him was still extremely miserable. But Guanchi Layman, who was desperate, had only one thought in his mind, that is, to kill Yi Junlin and avenge his hatred. Looking at the terrifying explosion light ball, Lin Dushou and the others were dry-mouthed and scared. Senior Yi. Don't worry, my master will be fine. Li Wuji waved his hand and said indifferently, it's a small scene, it's all a small scene. He looked like he was used to big storms. Such a reaction made everyone ashamed. This is also called a small scene. Are you serious? Suddenly, the explosion light ball disappeared in an instant. A young man stepped out holding a fairy sword, his eyes were so bright, his snow-white hair was flying in the wind, and his whole body was surrounded by a blazing luster, vaguely forming the appearance of a golden battle armor, revealing a noble and domineering aura. This is the body armor evolved from the immortal tyrant body art. The power of the explosion just now was all withstood. This is also the first time that Yi Junlin has used the perfect result of the immortal tyrant body art. How is this possible? Guanchi Jushi was shocked and lost his voice. You know, he used a combination of killing moves, the power is absolutely terrifying. Under the immortal emperor realm, anyone who endures this kind of damage will never be able to come out safely. Even if he didn't die, he would lose half his life. Now, Yi Junlin not only walked out, but also intact. The visual shock effect brought by this deeply impacted Guanchi Jushi's heart. We are both human, why can you be so hard? There is no flaw at all. Could it be that what Satu Yan said is true, that this guy was really the strongest immortal emperor before? Otherwise, how can he be so powerful? Guanchi Jushi's heart almost collapsed and fell into self-doubt. Except for the strong men in ancient times who could do this, how could the younger generation of later generations grow to this point? But the problem is, he had never heard of Yi Tiandi before, and he did not feel the unique breath of the resurrected from the other party. Kill. Yi Junlin flew with a sword, and the tip of the sword pointed directly at Guanchi Jushi. Pawns fall into soldiers. Guanchi Jushi waved his hand, and a handful of black and white chess pieces scattered. The black and white chess pieces turned into soldiers wearing armor, waving weapons to meet Yi Junlin. The shouts of killing were earth-shaking, and morale was high. Childish, at this time, still using human wave tactics. Looking at the huge army rushing in, Yi Junlin waved his long sword disapprovingly, and the sword light was like a dragon, galloping between heaven and earth. In less than 2 breaths, the densely packed soldiers were destroyed. Die. A golden rainbow like a streak of silk went straight to Guanchi Jushi. Guanchi Jushi was horrified, watching the sword light coming, and his whole body was strangled without reservation. We won, Lin Dushou and the others said excitedly. Looking at the sword-wielding figure, their eyes were full of awe. Qin Ruyan was startled at first, and suddenly realized something, looking in a certain direction and pointing a finger, and shouted softly, no. There is something wrong with that soldier. Hong Chenyi also looked over and said in surprise, Obviously that stinky old man is dead, why can that armored soldier still run? That's right. One of the armored soldiers transformed from a chess piece did not follow the army to kill Yi Junlin, but went the other way and ran madly to the other side. Damn, could it be that old thing pretending to be him? Li Wuji exclaimed. Yi Junlin said, there are quite a lot of tricks, but what's the use? After that, he pinched his fingers with one hand, and urged the Kangyuan sword to turn into a golden light and pierce in an instant. The golden light split the sky, full of momentum. The face of the armored soldier who kept running in the distance changed into an old look, and his eyes were full of panic. This is Guanqi Jushi's backup plan, called the chess piece clone, and the body that just died was just one of his clones. The real him, disguised as a soldier, had already escaped far away during the chaos. Too scary, there is absolutely no weakness. This is a monster. Maybe Situ Yan is right, that guy's predecessor was the immortal emperor, and only that level of existence can exert such terrifying strength in the realm of a mortal king. Guanqi Jushi's mind was in a mess. After experiencing the tragic defeat just now, he believed Yi Tiandi's statement by 80% or 90%. Swish. Suddenly, the whistling sound of a flying sword came from behind, and a sense of oppression descended on Guanqi Layman. No, don't, I don't want to die yet. Guanqi Layman cried, and the fear of death in his heart broke out like a flood. Seeing the rushing river in front of him, out of a full desire to survive, he used all his strength to jump high, wanting to dive into the water and escape with the help of the water. At the critical moment, Guanqi Layman just sank into the river, and the flying sword caught up with him. Ah! The screams stopped abruptly, the bright red immortal blood rippled, and the whole river became hot and boiling. Guanqi Layman was killed by the flying sword. This also marked the fall of the last chess master in the ancient times of Kunlun realm. It must be said that Guanqi Layman was remarkable in both the use of magic and the means of escape. In terms of previous strength, he was already in the ranks of the top-level immortal king, but unfortunately, he met a man without any flaws. It's finally over. Everyone chased to the shore, looking at the rushing river in front of them, and couldn't help sighing. This old thing is really a toss. Ahem. Ji Ba-shao cleared his throat and said to the figure in the sky with emotion, Senior Yi, in this situation, my admiration for you is like this endless river, and like a flood, it is out of control. Hong Chenny and the others were speechless, this flattery. Who knew that people were not in the mood to pay attention to him at all? At this time, Yi Junlin frowned, looking at the rushing river, with a puzzled look on his face. Strange, where is my sword? That's right, after the Kangyuan sword entered the water and killed Guanqi Jushi, it did not return for a long time, as if it had lost its sense and sank into the sea. What a joke, that is a top-grade Fairy King level fairy weapon, and also his specialty weapon. How could he lose it at this critical moment? He must find it. Thinking of this, Yi Junlin was about to go into the river to find out. Suddenly, the river emitted a brilliant white luster, which was extremely dazzling. Hualala, an elegant old man dressed as a scholar slowly surfaced. He had a kind and amiable face, and his aura was extremely sacred. He had two identical Kangyuan swords in his hands, emitting amazing fairy power fluctuations. Young Taoist, I wonder if you dropped this top-grade Fairy King level flying sword or this top-grade Fairy Emperor level flying sword. Chapter 325. C327 The World of Cultivation, there are many tricks. When the old man came out, everyone was shocked. Especially when he was holding two identical flying swords, but the quality levels were completely different. Yi Junlin's face was full of disbelief, and he almost thought he was hallucinating. What's going on with this old man? Not to mention this peculiar way of appearing, just charging at that top-quality immortal emperor level flying sword almost blinded him. You know, this is the ultimate immortal emperor level flying sword. Its lethality is definitely 1,000 or even 10,000 times more powerful than the original Kangyuan sword. The most important thing is that the other party's move now is to clearly give him the choice of two immortal weapons. If this is not an advantage, does it make sense? No one else would be able to refuse this huge temptation. This young fellow Taoist, did you drop this top-grade immortal king level flying sword, or this top-grade immortal king level flying sword? The old man smiled and was amiable, and continued to repeat what he had just said. Those eyes as deep as the sea had a faint flash of cold light, but they still maintained a friendly smile on their faces, looking very sincere. Holy shit, there's such a good thing, why can't Master choose that top-grade immortal emperor level flying sword? Li Wuji said in a low voice. It made him want to throw his sword into the river and try it. Hong Chenny narrowed her eyes slightly and reached out to rub her chin. After experiencing the chess game incident involving the layman watching chess, he felt more and more that pie in the sky would not fall casually. Even if there is one, it's made of iron, so it might kill someone. Just when everyone thought the answer was obvious, Yi Junlin said seriously, "Fellow Taoist, what I dropped was the top-grade Immortal King level flying sword." The whole place was silent. Lin Dushou and the others secretly admired Senior Yi for being so sincere. The old man's face changed slightly, as if he was a little surprised, and then he asked emphatically without giving up. "Fellow Taoist, are you sure that what you dropped was the top-grade Immortal King level flying sword, and not this top-grade Immortal King level flying sword? Think more carefully, who can imagine?" Yi Junlin stretched out his hand and pointed at the Kangyuan sword, and said loudly, "What I just dropped is this top-grade Immortal King level flying sword." Although the top Immortal Emperor level flying sword is very tempting, the real Kangyuan sword is a bound object rewarded by the system. It will definitely reach this level in the future, or even far surpass it. Therefore, if you choose the latter, this behavior is tantamount to picking up sesame seeds and throwing away watermelons. Are you sure? I'm sure. Are you really sure? Sure and sure. All right. The old man's smile was a little forced, and there was an incomprehensible look in his eyes. However, when he saw Yi Junlin's firm eyes, he couldn't help but be touched in his heart and felt a little admiration. How could there be such a noble monk these days? It's so rare. What a pity. Fellow Taoist, please take it. Whoa, Kangyuan's sword flew away like a swimming fish, and the sword body made a clear and gentle sound. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand to hold the hilt of the sword, his eyes suddenly flashed with color, and his face became full of meaning. "Since fellow Taoist got his own immortal weapon, I'll take my leave now and see you again in the future." The old man is smiling, and his smile is like a spring breeze. Wait, Yi Junlin suddenly stopped the other party, pointed at another flying sword that was very similar to Kangyuan's sword, and said in an unquestionable tone, "I dropped it too." Everyone looked weird. This kind of behavior was a bit. Haha, what's wrong with this? Good things are just stolen. Hong Chenny, who had been involved in the Devil's Path, had a playful smile on her lips, and she very much agreed with this approach. Lin Dushou's scalp was numb. Sure enough, the master and apprentice had similarities. Something's wrong, Qin Ruyan frowned, intuitively telling her that the matter was not that simple. At this time, hearing Yi Junlin's words, the old man dressed as a scholar was stunned at first, and the corners of his mouth almost couldn't help but raise upwards. This is right. As long as you are struggling in the world of cultivation, how can there be any honesty and integrity? Killing people and grabbing treasures is normal. What's more, how many monks in this world would not be greedy after seeing this top-quality Immortal Emperor level flying sword? I felt a little guilty before, and I couldn't bear it. Looking at it now, I really thought too much. Boy, you asked for this. Don't blame me for tricking you. The next moment, the old man pretended to be surprised and said, "Fellow Taoist, did you drop this too?" Yi Junlin nodded and said, "That's right. Since it belongs to the owner, I will naturally give it up." The old man waved his sleeve, and the top-quality Immortal Emperor level flying sword was as bright as the sun, emitting endless fairy light. When it came to Yi Junlin, everyone was envious. "Fellow Taoist, see you again if we are destined." Wait, the old man who was called out again suddenly felt an ominous premonition in his heart, but he still kept a harmless smile on his face. "Fellow Taoist, is there anything else you can do?" Yi Junlin held two Kangyuan swords in his hands and sneered, "Don't leave in a hurry, let's watch me perform a show for you." Then, under everyone's stunned gazes, Yi Junlin put the swords to his mouth and bit them off with a snap. "Cow wow," Ji Bashao exclaimed, "Senior Yi's teeth are so good." After he finished speaking, he was slapped on the head. His head was buzzing. Ji Bashao covered the back of his head in pain and looked at the man in the bamboo hat with grievance, saying, "Brother, why did you hit me?" Li Wuji said unhappily, "Are you blind? This is fake." Fake. Everyone was very surprised. Yi Junlin threw away the two broken swords in his hand. The originally dazzling flying swords turned into dull scrap metal in an instant. "Old thing, dare to play tricks on me, have you thought about the consequences?" Yi Junlin said coldly. It must be said that the other party's disguise is quite clever, and it can be mistaken for the real thing, exactly the same as the real thing. But unfortunately, the Kangyuan sword is bound to the system. When he got it in his hand, he noticed the clues. The smile on the old man's face suddenly froze, and his facial muscles twitched. He didn't expect that the other party could see the flaws of such a perfect forgery. You know, in order to get away with it, I deliberately forged 2 fake Kangyuan swords. No matter which one I choose, or even all of them, I will be the final winner. How did this person see it? Daoyu, listen to my explanation. As soon as the voice fell, the old man immediately sank into the river, pinched his fingers and cast a spell to escape thousands of miles in an instant. The old man's title is Kanglang Jun. He was once a famous liar in ancient times. He is proficient in various water-based Taoist methods and is a genius in this area. In the end, he created a special technique with his super high comprehension, called, hide the sky and cross the sea. This trick can be used to recycle waste and forge various magic weapons, and the level of the magic weapons is real, and it is extremely difficult to see the flaws. With this special technique of, hide the sky and cross the sea, Kanglang Jun began to cheat and deceive. For example, taking a fake magic weapon to exchange for a new one with others, or selling it at a street stall at a price lower than the market price, the effect is often very significant. The victim will think that he has taken advantage, but in fact he has lost all his money. The fake magic weapon in hand will be exposed in less than an hour. Later, because too many victims appeared, Kanglang Jun also became the target of everyone's shouting. At the beginning of the creation of the fairy world, Kanglang Jun did not dare to follow the mainstream to the fairy world to avoid his enemies, for fear of being found and settled. In this regard, Kanglang Jun simply chose to stay in Kunlun realm, and entered a long sleep by self-sealing, ready to wait for the right opportunity to come out and continue to cheat. It's fun to cheat people for a while, and it's fun to cheat people all the time. Kanglang Jun has no sympathy for the victims, anyway, they like to take advantage and get greedy. Never expected that this time he would capsize in the ditch and be seen by a junior who had never seen him before. Feeling the powerful aura on Yi Junline, Kanglang Jun knew that he couldn't fight hard, and immediately chose to escape by water. As long as there are big rivers, he can be like a fish in water and fly freely as he is proficient in water magic. Boy, you are not qualified to fight with me. As for your flying sword, I will keep it for you. Ha 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 ha, hee hee, window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target _type, mix. Chapter 326, C328 Kanglang Jun, woo woo woo. Looking at Kanglang Jun disappearing in the river, Yi Junline looked strange. The cultivation of the immortal king realm, coupled with extraordinary means, all indicate that the other party is a resurrector. Yi Junline sighed in his heart, there were so many talents in the ancient times, and each one was more capable than the other. It is worthy of being the most glorious era of Kunlun realm. Talents emerge in large numbers, each leading the way. Admire, admire. Master, let's chase him quickly, we can't let that dead old man run away. Your flying sword is still in his hand. Li Wuji said anxiously. Strange, why hasn't Senior Yi taken action yet? Lin Dushou and the others looked at each other. A top-grade Immortal King level flying sword was cheated away, don't you feel sorry? This is too arrogant, haha, he is destined to waste his efforts by doing this. Yi Junline smiled playfully. Because Yi Junline just suddenly remembered that since the Kangyuan sword is a bound item rewarded by the system, it can be upgraded as his realm is upgraded. In this case, can't it be recovered by the system? Tongzi, help me recover the Kangyuan sword. Yi Junline secretly said to the system. Ding, received, closing square bracket. The system begins to automatically recover the Kangyuan sword. Ding, recovery is successful. Please check it, closing square bracket. Yi Junline raised his hand, and with the blazing light shining, a golden flying sword appeared in the air. The sword body made a buzzing sound, and the halo of the sword body was as bright as a small sun, very gorgeous, revealing a sacred meaning. Everyone, what's going on? Senior Yi's methods are really unimaginable. Lin Dushou exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. It's amazing, how did you do it? Qin Ruyan was surprised, this has subverted her cognition. Hong Chenyi asked, Master, that old guy has already run far away, should we chase him? Don't worry, Yi Junline's eyes flashed with brilliance, and he controlled the flying sword to sink into the river. Yi Junline now has the invincible sword heart. The function of the invincible sword heart can not only increase the power of sword moves, but also use the flying sword as a medium to perceive the outside world. Since the opponent relies on the big rivers to carry out water escape, as long as it is still in the water, there will be a trace of residual breath. Therefore, as long as you follow the breath and follow the vines, you can find the source of the breath. Swish, Under the drive of Yi Junlin, the flying sword quickly cuts through the water and chases towards the source. The big rivers in Kangmuzhou are connected in all directions. If you look down from above, you will find that this dojo has a lot of waters, which is a rare river state in the central region. Because of the abundant water resources, plants grow vigorously and are full of vitality, so it is named Kangmuzhou. With the help of water escape, Kanglang Jun swam freely like a dragon, constantly changing his position and route. He was extremely careful. With such an incredible speed and natural geographical advantages, Kanglang Jun was confident that no one could defeat him. Unless the routes of all rivers can be cut off at the same time and the range can be continuously reduced, it is possible to track him. Otherwise, it would be wishful thinking for a fairy king to find him. I'm so lucky. Not long after I woke up, a top-grade fairy king level flying sword was delivered to me. It seems that God is helping me. At this time, Kanglang Jun was in a particularly happy mood, and Yi Junlin's helpless look had already appeared in his mind. Cool, so cool. After repeatedly changing the route, Kanglang Jun jumped out of the water like a carp, came to a shore, breathed fresh air, and his old face was excited. Let me see the big treasure I just got this time. Kanglang Jun took out the storage bag and searched carefully. As a result, after searching for a long time, Lord Kanglang did not find the Kangyuan sword. Where is the sword? Where is my sword? Lord Kanglang's mind was full of question marks, and his expression was uncertain. He clearly remembered that after casting a spell to suppress the Kangyuan sword, he put the sword into the storage bag. Why is it gone now? Strange, this is simply an unprecedented bizarre incident. Lord Kanglang felt incredible. What is this? Did I work in vain? However, at this time, there was a movement in the lake behind him. Lord Kanglang turned around subconsciously and saw a golden light that broke the sky and rushed out of the water, rushing towards him aggressively. Fuck! Lord Kanglang's pupils shrank into needles, and he saw that the golden light was clearly the Kangyuan sword. What is going on? Why would the big treasure that was already in hand come to stab me from behind? Without time to think about it, Lord Kanglang quickly cast a spell to resist. Sky water cover. A translucent water shield was formed, with various tadpole-like runes emerging and emitting brilliant fairy light. This move can resist the attacks of many fairy kings and is the most skilled defensive technique of Kanglang Jun. After all, he would have been beheaded long ago if he had no means of self-protection after years of cheating. The result, the golden light like a dragon cut through the sky and pierced through the Tianshui shield that Kanglang Jun had used all his strength to sacrifice. Not good. Kanglang Jun used the Lingbo water step. His body shape was unpredictable, trying to avoid the attack of the flying sword. Who knew that the Kangyuan sword seemed to have eyes and accurately stabbed Kanglang Jun? Puff! Blood flew everywhere and screamed miserably. Kanglang Jun's left shoulder was bleeding, and the sword intent was raging in the wound. He was sweating profusely in pain and couldn't help but kneel on the ground. The flying sword has such power before the person arrives. Even the great sword immortals in ancient times would find it difficult to do so. Only then did Lord Kanglang realize that he had provoked a powerful person whom he dared not offend. If he had known earlier, he would have just put the flying sword in both hands. Why would he have such a crooked idea? There was a sharp whistling sound in his ears. Out of fear of death, Lord Kanglang's tense emotions collapsed instantly, and he cried bitterly. Senior, spare my life. Although I have been doing fraud and stealing, I have never participated in killing people and stealing treasures. In my storage bag, there are all kinds of natural materials and treasures that I got from the fraud. I am willing to exchange my lifelong wealth for your forgiveness. Don't kill me, I don't want to die yet, woo woo woo. At the end, Lord Kanglang cried, and turbid tears slid down his face. Swish! The flying sword hovered just a millimeter away from his eyebrows. Feeling the chill, Kanglang Jun was so scared that his body was shaking. Senior. Kanglang Jun raised his head with trembling lips, looked at the flying sword pointing directly at his forehead, and swallowed hard. Then, the flying sword went around his buttocks, and the terrifying breath from the tip of the sword made Kanglang Jun couldn't help but tighten his important parts, and his whole body was covered with cold sweat. Could it be that the senior wanted me to go back and confess my crime? Thinking of this, Kanglang Jun didn't dare to neglect it, knowing that this was his last chance to perform. I'll go now. Kanglang Jun rolled and crawled, enduring the severe pain of the wound, and jumped back into the lake to return the same way. During this period, no matter how he changed his position, there was always a flying sword behind his buttocks, and the tip of the sword pointed directly at Kanglang Jun's weakness. If he resisted a little, he would die miserably. At this time, the people on the shore were waiting. Yi Junlin stood with his hands behind his back, with a calm face. It's been so long, can we really catch up? Lin Dusho was a little skeptical. Brother Lin, please watch your words, Ji Bashao said seriously. Senior Yi has great magical powers. There is nothing he can't do in this world. Lin Dusho had a few black lines on his forehead. You are Senior Yi's licker, right? So good at licking. Second brother, you are right. Li Wuji patted his shoulder with an admiring look in his eyes. At such a long distance, can the flying sword catch up? And even if it catches up, the other party will resist. In this case, will that person really surrender and come to confess his crime? Qin Ruyan expressed doubt. Because according to Yi Junlin's meaning, the flying sword can not only catch up, but also drive the target to come back and confess his crime. Hearing this, Ji Bashao was unhappy and said in a serious tone, Fairy Qin, you. Before he finished speaking, he was warned by the other party with a look, which frightened Ji Bashao's scalp numb. He waved his hands and smiled awkwardly. Hey, you are welcome. Hong Chenny frowned and looked at Qin Ruyan carefully. He felt that the other party was very unusual from beginning to end. Since he survived the 8 or 9 thunder tribulations of the chaos level, he always felt that he was invincible in the same realm. With the cultivation of the 9th heaven of Xuanxian, he can compete with ordinary fairy kings. This is already an extremely rare demon potential. But now, the appearance of Qin Ruyan broke his inherent cognition, and the other party might be able to do this. Wa la la. At this time, the river burst into huge water splashes. Kanglang Jun returned to the ground in an embarrassed posture. He knelt at Yi Junlin's feet without hesitation and began to slap his cheeks wildly with great force, and blood foam flew everywhere. Senior, I am possessed by evil spirits and I am willing to accept the punishment. Senior, please have mercy. Seeing this scene, Qin Ruyan and the others were shocked. Chapter 327. C329 The Naked Immortal King. He actually came back to confess. So obedient, Kanglang Jun felt ashamed and regretted deeply. After all, he was a famous figure in ancient times. He stirred up trouble everywhere. Even if his scam was exposed in front of him, he could get away with it. He was very cool. Unexpectedly, in this new era, the first time he committed a crime, he ended up with such a tragic end. This is kicking on the iron plate. Senior, I am blind. I didn't know that you have the ability to reach the sky. I am willing to work hard for you and make up for my mistakes. Kanglang Jun cried and slapped his face. His face was swollen and blood was gushing from the corners of his mouth. He looked very miserable. Swish, Yi Junlin brushed his sleeves and took back his flying sword. He looked at the old man in front of him who was crying bitterly, and smiled playfully. You were very good at pretending just now, didn't you? Keep going. Kanglang Jun cried, Senior, you are so generous, just treat me as a fart and let it go. Yi Junlin sneered, haha, that's easy for you to say. This stinky old man can turn decay into magic, maybe it can be useful in a certain occasion. Hong Chenny rubbed his chin, his eyes flashing, thinking about how to squeeze the value of Kanglang Jun. Hey, old man, what level of magic weapon can you make with your counterfeiting ability? Li Wuji asked curiously. Kanglang Jun said modestly, just barely, I have made a few low-grade immortal artifacts. If the level is higher, it is easy to have flaws, and the maintenance time will be shorter. When this was said, everyone was very surprised. Although it is not true, it is also quite bluffing if it is fake. After all, it was an immortal weapon of the Immortal Lord level. In a sense, even Kanglang Jun has the ability to cause chaos in the Kunlun realm. Just imagine, if you just make a few high-level immortal weapons and forge the illusion that peerless magic weapons have come out of nowhere, how many powerful people will come here to admire the reputation? Or you can mass-produce fake low-end magic weapons and sell them in the market at low prices. The bad money drives out the good money. After the customers pay the money and take it back, they will know that they have been cheated. In short, this kind of counterfeiting ability can be used in a lot of space. It depends on the moral bottom line of the initiator. Old thing, how many people have you fooled with this trick? Yi Junlin asked curiously. Kanglang Jun seemed to be stumped by the question, and was speechless for a while. Finally, he smiled bitterly and said, Senior, this is really difficult for me. How can I remember this? Anyway, there are quite a lot. But the most impressive one was a newly promoted immortal. At that time, he was suffering from not having an immortal weapon suitable for his status, so he sent his subordinates to various auctions to inquire about the news. I was also obsessed with it, so I disguised myself and arranged a scene where an immortal weapon of the immortal level suddenly appeared in the place where his subordinates were going to pass, and I was lucky enough to get it. Later, the subordinate came to coerce and lure, and I pretended to be angry and helpless, and then transferred the fake immortal weapon of the immortal level to the other party with a condition that seemed to be a loss but actually made a lot of money. Speaking of this, Kang Lang-jun looked like he was still in fear. Because of this incident, the newly promoted immortal was furious and was determined to pull him out and tear him into pieces. In order to please the immortal, many immortal cultivation forces also joined the search. Kang Lang-jun was so scared that he hid in a very secluded stinking ditch for almost 200 years. He didn't dare to come out for a breath of fresh air until the storm passed. Hearing this, everyone looked at Kang Lang-jun differently. As an immortal king, it was a miracle that he didn't die when he offended the immortal lord. Yi Junlin said thoughtfully, "Old man, what's your name?" He began to think that keeping such a talent around might be a good choice, and he could have some fun when he had nothing to do. Reporting to the senior, "My honorific name is Kang Lang-jun, and my real name is Li Yud." Kang Lang-jun said cautiously, not knowing what kind of punishment he would face. Yi Junlin was stunned. "Good guy, what is called Yud, but he did all the bad things. Now I give you two choices, one is to take off your clothes, run around Kangmujo, and come back to be a handyman by my side, and the other is to take my sword. As long as you don't die, it will be your good fortune. Choose it yourself." This, Kang Lang-jun was dumbfounded. The second option is equivalent to suicide, unless he is tired of living, but the first option is really too shameful. He is also an immortal king after all. Is he shameless? "It seems that you want to eat my sword, I will help you." Seeing that the other party was still hesitating, Yi Junlin sneered and was about to sacrifice the flying sword. The terrifying killing intent came to his face, and Kang Lang-jun couldn't help shivering, and his mind was instantly much clearer. Compared with his old face, life is the most important. "No, no, no. I choose the first option." In order to show that he kept his word, Kang Lang-jun simply exploded in front of everyone. Surprisingly, Kang Lang-jun looks like an elegant old man, but his body is extremely strong, with muscles and abdominal muscles, like a marble sculpture, full of a certain kind of bodybuilding philosophy. Li Wuji's eyes widened, his gaze moved downward, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, you can't beat me. You are really capable of competing with an old man," Hong Chenny said contemptuously. "Bah, hooligan." Qin Ruyan turned her face away and spat. Strangely, Ji Bashao, who always talked the most, fell silent at this moment. Because his self-esteem was severely hit. Lin Dusho looked strange, he had never seen such a punishment before. As expected of Senior Yi, his ideas are quite special. Yi Junlin said with a smile, "Xiao Dezi, you can have fun as much as you want. Remember, don't think of taking the opportunity to escape. If you dare to cross the line, my flying sword will take your life at any time." "Senior, you think too highly of me." Hearing Xiao Dezi's address, Kang Lang-jun's mouth twitched a few times. Even if he was extremely reluctant, he could only smile bitterly at this moment. After experiencing the experience of being chased by a flying sword in the river, Kang Lang-jun believed what Yi Junlin said. He didn't dare to have this crooked idea. After all, this is gambling with his life. Afterwards, Kang Lang-jun began his first naked streaking career in Kunlun realm. Although it was very embarrassing, fortunately he was in the realm of a mortal king, and even if he was running on land, his speed was very fast. For most of the cultivators in Kangmujo, it was just an invisible afterimage. Swish swish swish, he is simply a man like the wind. During the running process, Kang Lang-jun's heart was filled with strange emotions, with shame and the excitement of letting go of himself. As the sun set, he couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth, and began to spread his arms unscrupulously, twisting his waist in a devilish way. "So, this is what it feels like to run naked. Cool. So cool. Why did the senior reward me? Ha 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 ha, hee hee." At the same time, a certain dojo bordering Kangmujo. On the 1,000-foot cliff, two figures walked out of the cave, one in front and one behind. Situ Yan's face was extremely ugly. Thinking of the scene when he ran into Yi Junlin at that time, he still felt scared. Ever since he met this person in the underwater king city before, he had a feeling that everything was going wrong. The ancestor of the sea whale died, so he looked for it again. As a result, he found a new cooperative ally this time, but he was still killed, and the culprit was the same person as last time. Is this a coincidence or destiny? Situ Yan was full of frustration and resentment towards Yi Junlin. If it weren't for him, why would he flee in panic like a rat crossing the street? You know, in the heavenly world, although he was overshadowed by his brother's light, as a direct member of the Light Clan, he had never suffered such humiliation. It was so uncomfortable to be chased by others. Feeling the serious emotional fluctuations of this proud son of heaven, the guard Dabu behind him hesitated for a moment and said cautiously, "Sir, it's all because of that old thing. Bring that Yi Tiandi here. Since he is dead, we will find a reliable ally again." Satu Yan tried his best to calm down his emotions and spit out a few words expressionlessly, "That's the only way." He didn't believe that he would meet that evil star named Yi every time. With the changes in the world, more and more revivers will be born one after another. Maybe someone will come to the door without having to find them in person. Suddenly, hundreds of miles away, there was an aura of the immortal king level, as if it happened to pass by. Young master, Dabu was very excited. With such a cultivation level, he must be a resurrector of the Kunlun realm. Satu Yan was stunned. No way, he actually came to the door by himself. In order to avoid meeting Yi Junlin again, Satu Yan did not rush to jump out, and did not even release his spiritual consciousness. Instead, he used the reconnaissance pupil technique passed down by the clan, and carefully peeked at the outside world. Dawn eyes. Satu Yan closed his eyes, put his 2 fingers on his chest, and an inverted triangle eye appeared on his forehead. The eye was as deep and mysterious as the starry sky, containing a ring of rune halos, which was extraordinary. Let this young master see who it is this time. In the field of vision, a figure came into view clearly. It was a white-haired old man. Strangely, he was naked, but his muscles were so strong that he looked like a marble sculpture. At this moment, he was running wildly in the sunset with his arms spread out as if he was embracing something, sweating profusely, with a satisfied smile on his face. Hiss. Satu Yan was shocked and took a deep breath. What the hell? A powerful fairy king was running naked. Is this a distortion of human nature or a moral decline? What he couldn't accept the most was that the other party seemed to be enjoying himself and seemed to be enjoying it. Not ashamed, but proud. At this moment, Kanglang Jun didn't know that his chic running posture had been seen clearly by others. Even if he knew, Kanglang Jun felt fearless. Anyway, it was like this, you can watch it if you like. All this was just to complete the task assigned by the predecessor. Seeing the other party walking away, Satu Yan silently put away his pupil skills, and his facial muscles were twitching. He really regretted seeing such a pungent scene. Sir, why don't we chase him? This may be an ally who is more skilled than Guanchi Jushi. Dabu said anxiously. Unexpectedly, Satu Yan sighed to the sky, turned around and walked back into the cave with his hands behind his back. His tone was filled with unconcealed disgust and contempt. Forget it, this guy is mentally ill. Chapter 328. C330 heading to the Holy Land of Taichu. Kanglangjun, who ran around naked in Kangmu Prefecture, put on his clothes again and came to Yi Junlin. At this time, he returned to his elegant appearance again, and those who didn't know it thought he was the teacher of the private school. But who can imagine the scene where this person was naked and running wantonly under the sunset? Senior, I have already completed a lap around Kangmu Prefecture according to your instructions. Lord Kanglang said respectfully. Looking at the other person's face flushed, he looked like he was still unsatisfied. Yi Junlin looked strange. Wait a minute, why do I feel like I'm rewarding you? Senior is joking, this is your punishment for me. Of course, if Senior still wants me to run a second lap, I will do it. Mr. Kanglang said with a straight look in his eyes. There was a hint of expectation in the voice. Yi Junlin. Co-authoring this is counterproductive. From now on, you will work around me to make up for the mistakes you made in the past. Too lazy to continue to dwell on this issue, Yi Junlin waved his hand and said. As you command, Senior. Kanglangjun was very resistant at first. After all, he was also a respectable person, but now, he thinks this is an opportunity to hug someone. At such a young age, with such a profound moral practice, he must have been a top powerhouse in ancient times. Being able to follow a being with such terrifying potential, Lord Kanglang feels that the future is quite bright. Hong Chenny showed a meaningful smile. Finally a new person came to take the blame for him. Senior Yi, I wonder if you would like to come to Xuantian Holy Land to talk about it. I believe the Holy Master will be very happy. Lin Dushou said. Sure, I will go to Xuantian Holy Land, but before that, I want to go to Taichu Holy Land in person. Yi Junlin said seriously. The Holy Land of Taichu. Everyone's hearts trembled. Because Lien Chengbi's true colors were exposed before, everyone had a very bad impression of the Holy Land of Taichu. It would be a lie to say that there were no tricks in it. That old pervert, Hong Chenny's eyes were cold, and the murderous intention was surging in his heart. Qin Ruyan's eyes flickered, she knew that the Holy Land of Taichu was going to be destroyed. Walk, Yi Junlin greeted. He seriously doubted that the undead vampire strongman he had killed in the eastern region was actually not dead yet, and his true body was hidden in the Holy Land of Taichu. Of course, the most important thing is that he has to complete the sign in a Taichu Holy Land. Along the way, Kang Langjun also understood what happened before through a few words. It turns out that the person who was killed in the river by the flying sword was that old guy from Guanxi. Kang Langjun felt a little sad in his heart for the dead layman Guanxi. Guanxi, a layman, was a famous chess master in ancient times. He was also the guest of many important people in the past. He was a speculator with a great background. After all, having an unparalleled chess master accompany him to play chess is a very honorable thing for a big shot. Unexpectedly, after so many years, he would die in this new era in this way. Kang Langjun was very sad about this. Fortunately, he played small, otherwise his life would have been taken away. At the same time, Lord Kanglang was extremely shocked that Yi Junlin could surpass Master Guanxi in chess skills. This is incredible, Tianyuan State, the Holy Land of Taichu. An old man in a plain white linen robe paced back and forth, his heart filled with uneasiness and fear. What's going on? Is there some trouble? Not long ago, Holy Lord Taichu suddenly felt that the bond with Lien Chengbi was broken, as if it had been cut off abruptly. After all, Lien Chengbi was the blood servant he transformed personally, and his status was second only to him. No matter how many blood servants he transformed later, they would not be as powerful as the first blood servant who was transformed. What's more, Lien Chengbi was the holy son of Taichu, and now he died for no reason, which made Holy Lord Taichu feel angry and disturbed. After all, Lien Chengbi is a strong man in the mysterious immortal realm, and he has a very small part of the undead bloodline. How many people in the entire Central Territory are his opponents? Unexpectedly, he died inexplicably. Who took action? Could it be that it was for him? Holy Lord Taichu was very anxious, but thinking about his current strength and the powerful immortal vampires behind him, he suddenly felt confident again. HMPH, no matter who it is, if he dares to invade my holy land of Taichu, I will make sure that he never comes back. The Holy Lord Taichu stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes flashing a bloodthirsty red light. Sudden, a clear voice came from afar like thunder, resounding throughout the holy land of Taichu. Yi Junlin, the supreme prince of Xuantian sect, is here to visit. Yi Junlin appeared, scanning the holy land of Taichu with his huge consciousness, as if he wanted to see through the secrets hidden inside. In the holy land, countless disciples and elders had their heads buzzing and looked around with surprise. Xuantian sect, I heard that isn't the sect that the red demon belongs to. At this time, many people noticed something, stretched out their fingers in horror, and said in a trembling voice. Red devil. Compared to Yi Junlin, who was not well known in the Central Territory, Hong Chenny beside him was particularly eye-catching. Seeing the Holy Lord Taichu walking out of the hall, two beams of cold light burst out from his eyes when he saw his enemy, and he sneered. You old pervert, how dare you come out? After seeing Hong Chenny, Holy Lord Taichu was stunned at first, and then his face turned particularly ugly. Shut up, this is our Holy Lord, who is also known as the Light of the Right Path. How can a demon like you be able to humiliate him wantonly? The elders reprimanded with righteous indignation. The Holy Lord Taichu said in a deep and sanctimonious voice, Red devil, did the city wall die in your hands? Yes, he was burned alive by me. Hong Chenny sneered. Hear the words. The holy land of Taichu fell into a sensation. Oh my god, the Holy Sun is actually dead. Killed by the red demon. That's so arrogant, you don't take our Taichu holy land into consideration. Everyone, be careful, the red devil came to Tianyuan State this time to take revenge. Shouts of fright and anger rang out, and the eyes of the monks almost burst out with anger. Really, the Holy Lord Taichu's face was as gloomy as water. You old pervert, stop pretending. Before he died, he became neither human nor ghost. It must be thanks to you. Hong Chenny hit the point directly. The eyes of Holy Lord Taichu changed slightly, and he said in a deep voice, I don't know what you are talking about. But since you dare to offend my holy land of Taichu, you have to pay the price. Finished. The Holy Lord Taichu made a secret with both hands and offered a bronze Taoist bell. Various tadpole-like runes appeared on the surface of the Taoist bell. As the surging immortal power was injected into it, it burst out with bright light. The treasure of the town sect, the Kangsheng Bell. This bell is mysterious and extraordinary. It can combine the power of the entire Holy Land to fight the enemy in unity, which is of great use. Everyone, the Holy Land is at the critical moment of life and death. Quickly transfer your power to me. The Holy Lord Taichu held the Kangsheng Bell in his hand and shouted violently. Yes, rumble, power as vast as the sea gathered from all directions and poured into Kangsheng Bell. With the blessing of the entire Holy Land, the light of the Dao Zhang became more and more dazzling, releasing devastating terrifying fluctuations. Red Devil, today is your day of death. The Holy Lord Taichu roared angrily, and then rang the Kangsheng Bell 3 times in the air. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the bell, as heavy as a mountain, spread thousands of miles, causing countless people's blood to surge and their minds to become confused. As the ripples of energy visible to the naked eye spread, a black swirling light group cut through the sky, trying to swallow everything. Ridiculous. Hong Chenny raised her hand and took a large red handprint. Countless flame patterns appeared on the large handprint, and the light was scorching. There was a loud bang. The swirling black light group was shot to pieces. What? As if the Holy Lord Taichu was struck by lightning, the clock in his hand shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. Combined with the power of the entire Holy Land, it is actually no match for a single blow from the opponent. Is this gap too big? The monks suffered backlash, vomiting blood and looking horrified. The red demon back then was so powerful. The fly shakes the tree. Lord Kanglang shook his head. With his eyesight, he can naturally see deeper. On the surface, Kang Shengzhong has gathered the power of all the monks, and with the blessing of the Holy Lord Taichu, it has been able to compete with the powerful immortal king. However, the strength exerted by Hong Chenny is already comparable to that of the ordinary immortal king. If the two collide with each other, the latter definitely has the advantage. This era is indeed extraordinary. There are actually people who can rival the immortal king at the level of Xuanxian. It seems that the Kunlun world is about to prosper. Lord Kanglang said secretly. Chapter 329. C-331 Taichu Saint Lord, why me? The sect protecting formation, rise. The Holy Lord Taichu roared. Rumble, dense pillars of blazing light soared into the sky. A huge dark purple light shield is condensed, tightly fitted and airtight. There are various symbols and imprints flowing on the surface of the light shield, which is full of terrifying and frightening energy. You want to block me just by breaking the formation. Hong Chenny became very excited and stepped on it. The large footprints formed by countless blazing flames, carrying incomparable power, hit the formation like a world-destroying meteorite. Boom! The sect-protecting formation completely collapsed, the mountains and mountains within a radius of thousands of miles shook, sand and dust rolled, and rocks flew. No! Many disciples and elders looked at this scene in horror. Hong Chenny flashed to the sky above the Holy Land of Taichu, and looked down at the panicked people below with her hands behind her hands. A strong sense of oppression enveloped all directions. At the same time, the changes coming from the Holy Land of Taichu also frightened the monks in Tianyuan state. Countless spiritual consciousnesses came together to see what was going on. You must know that the Holy Land of Taichu is one of the 4 holy places in the central region, and it is the strongest force in Tianyuan state. Moreover, the Holy Lord of Taichu is known as the light of the righteous path, and the monks here regard it as a place of pilgrimage. Now, the Holy Land of Taichu was suddenly attacked by an unknown force, which made everyone feel unbelievable. It wasn't until someone recognized Hong Chenny that exclamations filled the sky. No, it's the Red Demon. Isn't he in the eastern region? Why did he come here? You still have questions? Of course I'm here for revenge. All the monks in the central territory know that the Red Demon and the Holy Land of Taichu have already forged and sworn hatred. When the righteous forces attacked the fire-worshipping demon cult, it was the Holy Lord of Taichu who took the lead. Unexpectedly, time passed and the Red Demon, who had fled in the sunset, came back again and entered the Holy Land of Taichu by himself. This is going to change. Compared to the panic-stricken Tianyuan prefecture, the Holy Land of Taichu had already turned into a mess. Holy Lord, what should we do? The Red Demon is too strong. An elder said desperately. The Holy Lord Taichu's face was ashen, and he was very panicked in his heart. He could see that Hong Chenny was completely different. Even if he was a 7th-level mysterious immortal and had the physique of an immortal vampire, he would still find it difficult to deal with such a monster. Maybe there would be a chance of escaping immediately. Thinking of leaving like a bereaved dog, Holy Lord Taichu felt 10,000 reluctances in his heart. At this time, he thought of something, and a glimmer of hope arose in his heart, and he quickly tried to communicate with the undead vampire lurking in the underground palace. Boom! However, the next second, a huge bloody light beam about a kilometer wide erupted from the depths of the ground, and a terrifying and evil aura spread around like a tide. The exclamations stopped suddenly, and all the monks were too frightened to move, and the fear in their eyes almost showed. Within the blood-colored light beam, a tall figure with fleshy wings slowly walked out. His black hair was flowing in the wind, his skin was sickly pale, his face was thin, his cheekbones were protruding, and his pupils were as red as the sea. This is an undead vampire lord-level figure, Blood Massacre. It's him. After being glanced at by the other party, Hong Chen's scalp suddenly became numb and her whole body felt cold. Master, it's the monster from before, Li Wuji said in shock. Yi Junlin sneered. Sure enough, he is not dead. The undead vampires actually appeared here. Lord Kanglang was startled, as if he was facing a formidable enemy. As a strong man from ancient times, he has heard about all the races in the starry sky, especially the immortal vampire race, which is known as the immortal body. He has a very deep impression. The moment Shui Tu appeared, everyone was stunned. First of all, it was the holy land of Taichu. Many disciples and elders were confused. They didn't know who this strange man was, and he looked very much like a demon. Lin Dusho and others who were watching the battle outside felt incredible. It turned out that there was something fishy behind the holy land of Taichu. This undead vampire is very strong, Qin Ruyan said solemnly. At this time, the Holy Lord Taichu seemed to have seen a savior, and said respectfully to Shuidu, Sir, you have finally shown up. Seeing the Holy Lord's flattering posture, the elders and disciples looked astonished, feeling like they were subverting their previous inherent perceptions. Shuidu did not look at Holy Lord Taichu, but kept his eyes on Yi Junlin, and said coldly, even if I want to leave, I can't. Well, Holy Lord Taichu was choked instantly, he did not expect such an answer. Yes, Shuidu originally wanted to run away because he was wary of the opponent's magic weapon after suffering losses. But he realized that Yi Junlin's spiritual consciousness was extremely huge and had enveloped every corner of the holy land of Taichu. He realized that it was only a matter of time before he was exposed, and if he wanted to forcefully leave, he would be chased and killed. Instead of doing this, it's better to stand up and fight. Moreover, with the help of Taichu Holy Land, he will be more confident. Hee. Yi Junlin flicked his fingers and joked. Last time you were beaten by me and you called me daddy. What do you want to call me this time? Shui Tu, who couldn't bear to look back on the past, had protruding veins on his forehead, and his sharp fangs shone with a cold light, with a fierce expression that wanted to choose someone to devour. Even if the clone is humiliated, how big a difference does it make to him? At that time, he relied on his super self-healing ability to try to force Yi Junlin to give up, but the opponent actually kicked him like a ball. During this period, he felt uncomfortable all over and begged for mercy in pain. In the end, he received a flying kick and was kicked into a dark coffin, and then suffered an unprecedented horrific killing. For Shui Tu, this is an indelible shame. Now, being mentioned by Yi Junlin in public, Shui Tu felt an unprecedented anger, and the aura in his body was released, twisting the void. The Holy Lord Taichu's face was filled with fear. He recalled the information revealed by Shui Tu. It turned out that this person was the master behind Hong Chenny. Are you mute? I ask you what you should call me. Yi Junlin said with a playful look, ignoring Shui Tu's look of wanting to kill someone. I'm paralyzing you, Shui Tu roared. The sound was deafening, resounding through the sky. Yi Junlin shook his head, not polite. You bastard, how dare you be rude to my master? Hong Chenny said dissatisfied. What, is this the Red Demon's master? All the monks were shocked by the news. Since he can become the master of the big devil, isn't this young man a super big devil? Aunt, don't think that you have grown up very quickly. You are still not qualified to teach me a lesson. Shui Tu looked at Hong Chenny and sneered. Hong Chenny almost suspected that her ears had misheard. He used to call aunts to others, but now he is no longer what he used to be. How can he still be called an aunt? Then let me meet you first. In anger, Hong Chenny mobilized all her magical power and used the most powerful killing move at present, Red Lotus Karmic Fire. A flaming lotus filled with the aura of destroying all living things slowly bloomed in front of everyone's shocked eyes. The temperature in the air instantly increased a lot, as if they were in a hot magma zone. Hiss! Holy Lord Taichu was shocked and couldn't imagine what would happen if he received this move head-on. Awesome! Lord Kanglang sighed secretly, and once again re-examined Hong Chenny's potential. However, when the red lotus karma fire, which symbolized destruction, shrouded the head of Shui Tu, it was grabbed by force in his hand, just like picking something out of a bag. How is this possible? Hong Chenyi's eyes widened. I told you, you are not qualified. Shui Tu sneered, and his palms erupted with terrifying power, wiping out the red lotus karma fire in his palms. Then, he put one hand behind his back and looked proud, which can be said to be full of force. But no one noticed that Shui Tu's hand behind his back was trembling slightly with pain. However, just this operation is enough to shock the world. The Holy Lord Taichu was overjoyed when he saw this, and said proudly like a dog fighting against the power of others, "Red Devil, your little ability is not enough to impress the adults." Hateful, Hong Chenyi gritted his teeth and said. Shui Tu's strength far exceeded his expectations. It was tens of millions of times stronger than the original clone. Do you have my permission to show off in front of my apprentice? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. He would never allow anyone to be more pretentious than him. Shui Tu's heart trembled, and he laughed angrily. That's enough. Do you really think you can take me down? As he said that, he reached out and grabbed Holy Lord Taichu, and clasped his flesh and blood with his 5 fingers. Holy Lord Taichu, no, why are you making fun of me? I'm on your side. Sir, what are you doing? Holy Lord Taichu was sweating in pain and had an ominous premonition in his heart. For our common goal, I need your help, Shui Tu said meaningfully. My help. Before Holy Lord Taichu could react, he suddenly felt a terrifying devouring force coming from his shoulder. The flesh and blood on his body were gathering together along the palm of Shui Tu's hand at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ah! Holy Lord Taichu screamed in horror, trying to struggle but to no avail. Old bastard, you are the undead vampire I reincarnated into. Naturally, I have the power of life and death over you. In order to cope with the current predicament, I need higher cultivation. Just obediently become my nourishment. Shui Tu said with a ferocious smile. Holy Lord. The disciples and elders exclaimed. I hate it. Holy Lord Taichu was filled with regret. He didn't expect that after working hard to the end, he would become someone else's wedding dress. Soon, the old man was devoured alive. Not enough. Shui Tu's hair was full of fluttering hair and his face was terrifying. Ah! At this moment, screams broke out one after another, and many disciples and elders showed their true colors, showing the characteristics of being blood servants. Obviously, they were all secretly trained by Holy Lord Taichu. Now that Holy Lord Taichu was eaten, control fell into the hands of the blood butcher. Hoo. Countless streams of blood containing vitality surged and were absorbed into the mouth and nose by Shui Tu. Most of the monks in the Holy Land have disappeared. Seeing such a terrifying scene, Lin Dushou and the others' scalps went numb. Who would have thought that the Holy Land of Taichu would end up like this? Boom. The aura on Shui Tu's body was rising steadily at an incredible speed, and his whole body erupted with the aura of the Immortal King's 9th level cultivation. In the sky, a terrifying body 1,000,000 feet condensed, standing on the Holy Land of Taichu, with eyes like the sun and moon, fierce and powerful, and black hair flying endlessly. When the pair of fleshy wings behind it spread out, it covered the sky. Snort. The cold snort sounded like muffled thunder in the sky. Shui Tu stared at Yi Junlin, who was as small as an ant, and his cold voice, which contained infinite murderous intent, spread throughout the Tianyuan province, making countless cultivators feel as if they were falling into the abyss and freezing to the bone. Mr. Yi, today is the day you die. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 330. C332 9th grade immortal power. Looking at the huge body reaching deep into the sky, the cultivators of the entire Tianyuan province fell into panic. Such an evil and ancient aura is very similar to the blood-sucking monsters of the past. Could it be that their tribes have entered the Kunlun realm? In the depths of the forbidden area of Xuantian Holy Land in Taishuan province, an old voice of doubt and uncertainty sounded. At the same time, in some places in the central region, those immortal king-level creatures lurking behind the scenes were alarmed and cast fearful eyes towards the source of the aura. In the cave, Situ Yan, who was meditating in the dark, suddenly opened his eyes, and a strange color flashed in his eyes. Sir, there is a big movement in the northwest, Guard Dabu hurried in and reported. Situ Yan said coldly, interesting, this disgusting breath is from the undead blood clan in Juyu. Dabu was surprised and said, "You mean, the strong men of the Undead Blood Clan are also taking action in Kunlun Realm?" "Haha, are you surprised? We can descend on Kunlun Realm, why can't they?" Satu Yan sneered. "It seems that there may be a conflict with Emperor Yi Tian, and they want to have a final decisive battle. As a member of the Light Clan, he has a hostile relationship with the Undead Blood Clan. The two races have fought in the universe for many years, and they have known each other for a long time and have deep hatred. Based on this breath alone, the other party is very powerful. If they can defeat Emperor Yi Tian," Dabu pondered. "Impossible." Satu Yan shook his head. "Just because Emperor Yi Tian can perform the supreme method, that guy has no chance of winning." Dabu was shocked. "So, won't the Undead Blood Clan lose miserably? This will not help our actions at all. Have you forgotten the innate talent of this race?" Satu Yan narrowed his eyes slightly. "The other party is probably a lord-level figure of the Undead Blood Clan, with the purest bloodline, plus the cultivation of the top-level Immortal King. His self-healing ability must be extremely terrifying. Although Emperor Yi Tian is very strong, it is absolutely hell level to kill that guy." In this regard, Satu Yan only hopes that the Undead Blood Clan can drag down Yi Junline. Even if he can't win in the end, he can consume the opponent to the maximum extent. As the saying goes, when the snipe and the clam fight, the fisherman gains. If both sides are injured, he can clear the field by the way. After all, whether it is the powerful Yi Junline or the Undead Blood Clan of the hostile camp, they are threats to the future rule of the Light Clan in Kunlun Realm. Come on, follow me to check out the situation. This may be our best chance to kill Emperor Yi Tian. Yes, young master, it must be said that the aura released by Shui Tu in his peak state is too amazing. In order to deal with Yi Junline, he can be said to be fighting with all his strength. This immortal body, which is 1,000,000 feet high, is the masterpiece that Shui Tu has exchanged for his lifelong skills. Not only will the power of the following moves increase by thousands of times, but he also has an extremely abnormal self-healing ability, which can ignore all kinds of damage. He is simply born with a fighting physique. Even if an ordinary immortal emperor-level strongman comes in person, he will be brutally torn to pieces by him and turned into nutrients to strengthen himself. Only the best among the immortal emperors can compete. Moreover, the current rules of heaven and earth in Kunlun Realm only allow the activities of immortal king-level creatures, so from a certain perspective, Shui Tu is almost invincible now. Come on, use your weird magic weapon to deal with me. The majestic and cold voice echoed in the sky, as if the devil was speaking to the world. The endless and terrifying body like a mountain range, lingering with blood-colored gas-like thick smoke, is a spectacular sight. What Shui Tu feared most was Yi Junline's special magic weapon, which had an unexpected restraining effect on the Undead Blood Clan. But since he was going to fight to the death, he had already made sufficient preparations. That's exactly what I meant. Yi Junline raised his hand with a sneer, and a bronze coffin appeared in the void, filled with the breath of ancient vicissitudes of time. Heaven Burial Coffin. Seeing this terrible coffin appear, Shui Tu's spirit was tense to the extreme, because his clone had been strangled in it. Buzz buzz buzz. When the Heaven Burial Coffin was opened, it was like a black hole, launching an extremely terrifying devouring force towards Shui Tu. Come on. Shui Tu was furious, and he used all his strength to hit hard. Boom boom boom. Both of them burst into a violent impact. The wind was blowing hard, the sun and the moon were dark, and the entire Tianyuanzhou was shrouded in a depressing and dull atmosphere. During this period, the flesh and blood on Shui Tu's arms were wriggling violently, and pieces of flesh and blood on his body were constantly being peeled off, like pulling silk from a cocoon, and they poured into the vortex that looked like a black hole. Ah! A huge pain surged into his mind, and the wounded Shui Tu was not afraid, but felt a kind of madness that was forced into a desperate situation. The immortal body that I condensed with great difficulty is not so easily defeated by you. At this moment, Shui Tu's eyes burst into a red light that split the sky, and he roared hysterically. Wa la la! A strange scene happened, and the flesh and blood that had been cut off from his body grew out rapidly again and became intact. Boom! The dull explosion was deafening. The resistance of the Heaven Burial Coffin instantly increased, and it even seemed to be about to be suppressed. Keep this coffin for yourself. Shui Tu's face was ferocious, and he threw the last punch with all his strength. Bang! The burial coffin was knocked down violently, and the bright luster on the surface became dim. Yo-ho! Yi Junline raised his eyebrows. Even the best immortal king-level immortal weapon can't suppress this monster. That's right, Shui Tu, who was in full state, could barely block the damage caused by the sky burial coffin due to its large size and strong self-healing ability. If it were another top-level immortal king, he would have been sucked into the sky burial coffin just now, and his body and soul would have been obliterated. It can only be said that the current blood massacre is so powerful that it is outrageous. In terms of overall strength, he can already be regarded as a powerful immortal emperor. The undead vampires are really terrible. Lord Kanglang's scalp felt numb and his back felt cold. It is worthy of being called the most difficult star race in the universe back then. It's over. If Senior Yi loses, the entire Central Territory will be in disaster. Lin Dushou said worriedly. Ji Bashao pulled his hair randomly, almost going crazy. I don't believe it, Senior Yi is invincible. He will not lose. Qin Ruyan frowned. Just like the information contained in her memory, all the characteristics shown by Shui Tu show that he is a seed-level genius among the undead vampires. As long as he does not fall in the middle, he will definitely be an immortal-level figure in the future. This kind of character can kill enemies as easily as he eats and drinks. Coupled with the terrifying racial talent, it is even more difficult to completely kill him. Now he can become more and more courageous as he fights, showing how powerful this undead vampire is. I'm still too weak. If my cultivation level were higher, I could be of help. Qin Ruyan said unwillingly. At this time, her eyes swept towards the tall figure, and she couldn't help but froze on the spot. Strangeness. Why can that man remain calm? From Qin Ruyan's point of view, facing the extremely powerful and immortal Shui Tu, Yi Junlin should have panicked. No matter what happened, he would have looked dignified, as if facing a formidable enemy. But now, he looks calm and calm. Why exactly? Could it be that this person has a trump card? Looking down at this figure as small as an ant, Shui Tu felt quite proud in his heart. He was beaten until he called him daddy, and this shame was paid back in full today. Die! Shui Tu raised his foot with a grin and stomped on Yi Junlin, trying to crush him to death under his feet. This huge footprint covered the sky and the sun, and countless runes were intertwined and entwined. The void collapsed along the way, and the scene was terrifying. Boom! An endless sense of oppression shrouded the ground, and the entire ground was shattered and dented continuously. Quick! Get out! Everyone was shocked and tried desperately to stay away from the center of the battle. Feeling the threat above his head approaching crazily, Yi Junlin couldn't help but sigh. Tongzi, did you pocket the reward for co-authoring my book? Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in and being rewarded with 9th level immortal power. Close black lens bracket the system prompt sounded in my mind. Boom! The next second, the immortal power in Yi Junlin's body underwent an earth-shaking transformation in an instant, like a little carp in the pond, becoming a real dragon above the 9 heavens. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 331. C333A Punch that defies the heavens. 9th grade immortal power, the uncrowned king in the quality of immortal power. Even most immortal emperors stop at the 7th grade immortal power throughout their lives, and only a few can reach the 8th grade immortal power. And reaching the level of 9th grade immortal power is tantamount to leaping over the Dragon Gate, which is the symbol of the top immortals. At this moment, Yi Junlin's immortal power has all transformed into 9th grade immortal power. It is no exaggeration to say that now only a wisp of immortal power is far better than all the original ones. There is a world of difference. Cool, Yi Junlin exhaled deeply. This feels much better than when he became an immortal king. After all, the immortal king sounds majestic, but in the glorious period of Kunlun realm, the number of immortal kings is as numerous as stars, but if it is 9th grade immortal power, looking at the entire history of Kunlun realm, there are only a few. Haha, are you scared? Sensing that Yi Junlin was motionless, the smile on Shui Tu's mouth became more and more arrogant, and his eyes were full of cruelty. This is good, he can step on this ant to death with one foot. In a flash, when Yi Junlin raised his head again, his eyes were as bright as a god. He first made an ancient boxing stance, and a vast golden light wheel appeared behind him. The light wheel rotated like a millstone, and various mysterious and complicated patterns appeared, revealing the vicissitudes of time. The terrifying breath was as vast as the sea. Look at my rising dragon fist. Yi Junlin charged his fist and raised it to the top of his head, and the fist force turned into a golden angry dragon and rushed forward. Rumble. The huge footprint was instantly penetrated by a huge force, spreading wildly along the legs that were like mountains, and collapsed inch by inch. What? Shui Tu's smile froze on his face. The terrible fist force was going up along the legs, and was madly strangling his flesh and blood at an incredible speed. Soon, the entire thigh disappeared, followed by the waist and most of the body. Ah! Shui Tu screamed in pain, flapping his wings vigorously to get out. In his opinion, this was a terrible vortex that was constantly devouring his immortal body, and its power was far greater than the heaven burial coffin he faced before. Fuck! The people in the distance were dumbfounded. In the field of vision, the terrifying body that was originally 1,000,000 feet long was madly destroyed by a golden fist force. In just a few tens of seconds, it became less than 1,000 feet long, and it was still decreasing sharply. Wait, this fairy power fluctuation is... Kanglang Jun was stunned at first, and after a careful perception, his face suddenly changed drastically, his eyeballs almost fell out, and he said in horror. 9th grade fairy power. There is no mistake, this is the legendary 9th grade fairy power. Looking at the peerless figure like jade, Kanglang Jun was deeply shocked. Are you kidding? An immortal king actually used the 9th grade immortal power. This is going against the will of heaven. As a powerful person in the ancient times of Kunlun realm, Kanglang Jun naturally knows how important the 9th grade immortal power is. Because in traditional cognition, many immortal emperors only have the 7th or 8th grade immortal power, and there are very few who can cultivate to the 9th grade immortal power. Each of them can be said to be unprecedented and invincible creatures standing at the top of the immortal path. Therefore, in Kanglang Jun's view, only immortal emperors have the opportunity to achieve the 9th grade immortal power, and the possibility is even very small. But I have never seen an immortal king achieve this achievement. It is really unprecedented. I knew that Master was hiding his shortcomings. Hong Chenny nodded, thinking it was reasonable. Oh, I'm used to it. Li Wuji shrugged. Looking at the two people's reactions that were not surprised, countless question marks appeared on Kanglang Jun's forehead. What's going on? You two, this is the 9th grade immortal power. Do you know what the 9th grade immortal power means? Kanglang Jun said excitedly. I understand. Li Wuji said seriously. It means the quality of the immortal power is 9th grade. Kanglang Jun. Nonsense. It's the same as saying nothing. No, you definitely don't know how shocking the appearance of the 9th grade immortal power is. Kanglang Jun waved his hands vigorously. Old thing, stop yelling. Hong Chenny squinted and said, with my master's status, it's normal to have the 9th grade immortal power. Make a fuss. That's right, it's just the 9th grade immortal power, don't act like you haven't seen the world. Li Wuji said disdainfully. Kanglang Jun was dumbfounded. Such a tone that was not worth mentioning made him doubt his life. 9th grade immortal power just. Excuse me, are we still in the same world? When did even the rumored 9th grade immortal power become a symbol of standard configuration? Just as Kanglang Jun was at a loss, the situation on the scene had changed significantly. Looking around, the immortal body of 1,000,000 feet had already vanished. A bloody figure, flapping its wings, stayed in the air in shock. At this moment, for poor Shui Tu, even if he used any language in the world, he could not describe how terrified he was. Yi Junline's punch directly blew up his immortal body that he had painstakingly condensed and could be called a king. If he hadn't tried his best to escape death, he would probably have died under that punch. Why is this happening? Shui Tu's face was full of panic. Although the injuries on his body were healing, the trauma in his heart could not be healed. This is the biggest shadow in his life so far. You know, with the help of the king-level immortal body to fight, his comprehensive strength is comparable to the best among the immortal emperors, and he should be an unsolvable existence in this world. As a result, he was blown up by the opponent's punch. From another perspective, even if a powerful immortal emperor descended, he would be killed by the punch just now. Yi Junline frowned. He originally wanted to mobilize all the 9th grade immortal power in his body and get rid of this immortal blood clan in one go. Unexpectedly, when he tried to mobilize, he could only barely exert 1/10 of the 9th grade immortal power in his body, and no matter how hard he tried, the rest was in vain. Why is this? Yi Junline was very confused. In this regard, he secretly asked the system, and the system immediately gave an answer. Ding, this is because the host's immortal power quality is too high, resulting in the current physique cannot be fully operated. Only by reaching a higher level can the 9th grade immortal power be perfectly exerted. Close black lens bracket. Hearing this, Yi Junline understood now. If the immortal power in the past was like sand, he could still move it with a little effort, but the immortal power now was like a ton of boulder, and he could only chisel out a small piece with great effort. But even so, it was enough to show the dominance of the 9th grade immortal power. He only used 1/10 of it, and combined with the Fighting Saint Fist, he dealt extremely high damage. If he could really perform perfectly, Yi Junlin even felt that he could kill an immortal with one punch. Chapter 332. C334 Killed in One Sword. At this moment, Shui Tu was panicking, no longer as determined as he was at the beginning to fight to the death. All his confidence was shattered by a punch just now. This was an absolute crush from strength, which made him not have the courage to fight him at all. Run, a thought flashed through his mind. Shui Tu gritted his teeth, burning the blood in his body madly, and his whole body turned into a red streamer like a burning cloud, flying desperately into the distance. His speed was as fast as that of a newly promoted immortal emperor. If it were in the past, he would have escaped by luck, but unfortunately Yi Junlin is different now. With the 9th grade immortal power, the power of his magic has also been greatly enhanced. I want to see, who is faster, you or my sword? Yi Junlin sneered and made a decision with one hand. Swish, the golden flying sword whistled out like a swimming dragon, and the sound of breaking the wind was extremely sharp, resounding between heaven and earth. Rumble, the mighty aura of the sea overwhelmed the 4 fields, and the twisted ripples in the void seemed to be unable to withstand the power of the flying sword. In the eyes of countless shocked people, the dazzling golden streak instantly stirred the sky, as if it had turned into a roaring golden dragon, full of pressure. Not good. Shui Tu, who wanted to escape far away, suddenly felt cold all over at this moment, and his scalp almost exploded. He did not dare to look back, and could only flap his wings desperately to pull away, fearing that he would die without a complete body if he moved slowly. The great terror behind him was approaching rapidly, entangled with him like a thorn in his bones. No matter how he changed the trajectory of his flight, he would be firmly locked by the flying sword. Don't come over. Don't get close to me. Shui Tu's spirit collapsed, and he shouted hoarsely, his eyes were full of deep despair, and the fear of death filled his heart. Boom. Finally, the brilliant golden sword light hit him, and the golden sword energy penetrated the sky like a pillar. In the sky, a brilliant explosion of light bloomed, and the outline of the incomplete figure could be vaguely seen, which was gradually dissipating. Shui Tu tried desperately to struggle, but finally found that his self-healing ability could not keep up with the speed of being destroyed, and he could only wail in despair and pain. Ah! The scream was extremely shrill, which made people panic. 10 seconds later, the sky gradually became clear, and only a golden fairy sword stood upside down, still emitting some residual power. As for Shui Tu, he had already disappeared. Not even a trace of residue was left. Silence. Deathly silence. Countless monks opened their mouths and stared blankly, still thinking about the amazing scene just now, and they couldn't let it go for a long time. He died so soon. Kanglang Jun swallowed his saliva and said with difficulty. That's the pure blood of the immortal blood clan. With the cultivation of the top fairy king and the racial talent, if he wants to escape, how many monks of the same realm can stop him? Even if he was attacked during the escape, his injuries would heal quickly and he would always be in the best condition. As a result, he was killed by a sword. How outrageous! With a hissing sound of breaking the wind, the flying sword turned around and returned along the same route. Collect. Yi Junlin waved his sleeves, looking very casual. Looking at his nonchalant look, those who didn't know would think he had killed a chicken. Senior Yi is so powerful and has boundless immortal power. Ji Baxiao knelt down on the ground, as if worshipping a god, his face flushed, and he shouted excitedly. In his mind, the young man was invincible. Is it reasonable to be so strong? Lin Dushou murmured. Suddenly, he recalled the various deeds that Lu Qingming had told him in Xuantian Holy Land before. What about killing a 100 million immortal with a sword, or driving away the thunder tribulation, and suppressing the dark turmoil, etc.? Lin Dushou didn't believe it before. But now, he suddenly felt that it was very likely. Emperor Yi Tian, looking at the invincible figure, Lin Dushou's heart was shaken as never before, and he began to doubt this identity. Because only such a powerful origin can explain why that person has such extraordinary strength in the immortal king realm. This is simply incredible. Qin Ruyan was stunned, and the shock in her heart was indescribable. According to her original idea, even if Yi Junlin was personally strong, he would have to go through a difficult and fierce battle against the Lord-level Shui Tu. Even if he won in the end, it would only be a narrow victory. As a result, the battle ended too quickly, and it was a one-sided crushing from beginning to end, with no suspense at all. It can be said that they are not of the same level at all. Humph, did you see that? No matter how strong the opponent is, he is just scum in the eyes of my master. Li Wuji said proudly. With this tone and this posture, Those who don't know would think that he solved the enemy. It feels like Master's strength has become much stronger. Is it because his previous strength is gradually recovering? Hong Chenny said secretly. He was not surprised at all by Shui Tu's disastrous defeat. Instead, he felt that everything was reasonable. Whenever this person takes action, he will crush the opponent as always. After all, this is Emperor Yi Tian. It's finally solved now. Yi Junlin chuckled. 9th grade immortal power plus invincible sword heart plus top grade immortal king level immortal weapon plus killing immortal sword technique. The lethality exerted by these factors combined is equivalent to a one-click reset plugin in the current Kunlun world. Not to mention the immortal king, even if most of the immortal emperors were hit by this sword, the whole village would be in trouble. Even though Shui Tu had a strong vitality, his body would dissipate on the spot under such destructive power, and there was no possibility of survival. At the same time, Situ Yan, who had originally stepped into Tianyuanzhou, stopped as if struck by lightning, his eyes full of deep shock. Because just now, he noticed that Shui Tu's breath suddenly disappeared, as if it was instantly wiped out by a powerful force. The one who attacked was his familiar enemy. Sir, it seems that the undead blood clan has, Dabu said with dry mouth and trembling heart. Retreat. Situ Yan made a prompt decision and turned around and ran. The undead blood clan was so strong, but they were all solved by the other party cleanly and neatly. If he accidentally exposed his tracks, there would be no way out next. It seems that for people like Yi Tiandi, I can only use the Ring of Order to deprive him of his cultivation in order to kill him. There is no other way. Situ Yan's eyes were dark and his face was gloomy. He had to wait for a time that would maximize his benefits. As Shui Tu's breath disappeared, other parts of the central region were secretly shocked by the immortal king-level creatures. Which Taoist friend took action to kill the undead blood clan? Xuantian Holy Land. In the Forbidden Land, a yellow-haired old man wearing a black and yellow Taoist robe and a bronze ancient crown on his head sat cross-legged. His ears were not in the shape of a human, and his nose also retained the characteristics of a dog's nose. Looking closely at the back of his butt, there was a shiny tail. Obviously, his body was a dog. At this time, the yellow-haired old man frowned and stared at the mirror in his hand, as if he was observing the situation on the scene. Through the mirror, he saw the scene of Shui Tu being killed by a sword, and the yellow-haired old man was shocked. Who among the contemporary immortal kings has such strength? The yellow-haired old man couldn't believe that all this was true. With his knowledgeable eyes, he could naturally see how exaggerated the power of that sword was. Even 99% of the immortal emperors couldn't stop it. You know, the gap between the immortal emperor and the immortal king is far greater than that between the immortal lord and the immortal king. For example, if the immortal king is a vassal king who rules one side, then the immortal emperor is equivalent to a real emperor, and the identities of the two are an insurmountable gap. Unexpectedly, the other party only has the cultivation of the immortal king, and his strength has crushed 99% of the immortal emperors. This is an incredible miracle for the yellow-haired old man. I'm afraid even the Fuyao Empress back then could hardly do this when she was in the immortal king realm. The yellow-haired old man murmured. Thinking of that peerless figure dominating the Kunlun realm, the yellow-haired old man seemed to touch his heartstrings, and mist rose in his eyes, and crystal tears appeared. Empress. Thinking of the master he followed in the past who had already fallen, the yellow-haired old man couldn't help but cry sadly. How amazing was the Fuyao Empress back then. She walked step by step to the supreme throne of Kunlun realm, but unfortunately she died outside the domain, and her body was not found. Every time he thought of this, he felt sad. Gradually, the yellow-haired old man calmed down his sad emotions and looked at the mirror again. I want to see who the peerless genius who made the move is. Then, the mirror image turned and fixed on Yi Junlin. Looking at this elegant black-robed young man, the yellow-haired old man frowned and muttered to himself, strange, I didn't have any impression of him before, could he be a newcomer of this era? Suddenly, Yi Junlin in the mirror seemed to have a sense of glance, and shouted coldly with dissatisfaction. Who? Chapter 333. C335 The source of happiness is gone. Click, click, click. For an instant, cracks appeared on the mirror, and then it exploded in the shocked eyes of the yellow-haired old man. Ah, my dog eyes. The yellow-haired old man covered his stinging eyes and took a few steps back. After barely regaining consciousness, he put down his hand. His red and swollen eyes showed surprise, and he felt a sense of fear in his heart. The magic weapon in his hand is a void mirror, which can detect the local situation from thousands of miles away. The biggest feature is that he can observe others quietly. Even if the other party is a high-ranking immortal, the yellow-haired old man is confident that he will not be discovered. However, when the scene came to that young man, there was an unprecedented change. Not only was he noticed for the first time, but the void mirror in his hand was disabled with just a look from the other party. It was like spying on some terrifying taboo figure. Even the void mirror couldn't bear the huge cause and effect, and it shattered on the spot. The yellow-haired old man was so frightened that his back was sweating. He thought carefully and said with fear, "This kid is so terrifying." When he saw the mirror fragments lying on the ground, the yellow-haired old man's lips trembled, and he was so heartbroken that he almost couldn't breathe. In the past, when he was idle and bored, he liked to peek into the outside world with a void mirror, especially the scenes of various fairies taking a bath. It was really a feast for the eyes and exciting. The result is now, thinking of losing the source of happiness. The yellow-haired old man fell to his knees, holding the scattered fragments in his hands. He couldn't help but feel sad. He shed 2 lines of muddy tears and cried out from his mouth. With this posture, it seemed that he had never been so sad even when Empress Fuyao fell. Strangeness. At the same time, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. The feeling of being spied on disappeared, as if it was just an illusion. "Master, what's wrong with you?" Li Wuji and Hong Chenyi asked cautiously. Just now, the young man suddenly shouted coldly, as threatening as the wrath of heaven, but it scared them all. "It's okay, I was joking." Yi Junlin waved his hand. "Are you joking?" The 2 apprentices looked strange. But thinking about the master's unusual brain circuit, they suddenly felt that this statement was reasonable. "Now that the business is done, let's go." "Yes, master." The group of people flew away from the holy land of Taichu. "Senior Yi, since the matter has been resolved, why don't you come to my Xuantian holy land to talk about it? I believe that your presence will definitely make my Xuantian holy land shine." Seeing the handsome young man with a handsome temperament coming out, Lin Dushou quickly greeted him and bowed his hands respectfully. With the previous experience, he already believed 80% of Yi Junlin's identity. If Xuantian Holy Land had a relationship with a big shot of this level, it would be absolutely beneficial without any harm. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin. "Okay, there's nothing to do now anyway." "Senior Yi, please." Lin Dushou was overjoyed, turned sideways and extended his hand respectfully. "By the way, the next aftermath," Yi Junlin said thoughtfully. "As the saying goes, if you open your mouth to spread rumors, you will lose your legs if you refute them. The holy land of Taichu occupied the moral high ground before he came, and now he has brought people to turn the place upside down. Afterwards, the outside world will definitely spread rumors, and they may not know how to organize them. When you go out to hang out, reputation is very important." Therefore, Yi Junlin wanted to let the monks in the central realm know that this time he was a famous teacher and had eradicated a major disaster for the world of cultivation. Before Lin Dushou could speak, Ji Baxiao came over excitedly and volunteered, patting his chest. "Senior Yi, don't worry. I, Ji Baxiao, will vouch for my personality and will definitely clear your name." "Oh no, I will explain it clearly for you." Lin Dushou coughed a few times. "Ahem, it just so happens that Brother Ji is the holy son of Yin-Yang Holy Land. If he comes forward to clarify, the credibility should be very high." Lin Dushou bites the word, should, very hard. Although Ji Baxiao is the holy son of Yin-Yang Holy Land, privately he likes to gossip and brag. Not only does he fail to establish a good image, he even spreads rumors sometimes, and his reputation among the outside world is actually very unreliable. If he comes forward to guide public opinion, I am afraid it will have a negative effect. Well, Yi Junlin had several black lines hanging on his forehead. "Good guy, it looks like I have to change someone." At this time, a female voice as pleasant as a clear spring sounded calmly. "If you don't mind, I am willing to clarify the reason for Senior Yi and reveal the inside story behind Taichu Holy Land to the outside world." It was Qin Ruyan who spoke. She was wearing a moon-colored dress, her skin was as delicate and flawless as white marble, her cold face was delicate and picturesque, and she walked slowly, with a tranquil and indifferent temperament permeating her body. Lin Dushou's eyes were bright, she put her hands on her hands and smiled. "I think it's okay. If this matter is handed over to Fairy Qin, the credibility will be even higher." Compared with Ji Baxiao, who has low credibility and is notorious, Qin Ruyan, the saint of the Yaoguang Holy Land, is definitely a famous figure on the right path in the central region. She is also a cold goddess sought after and supported by countless monks. She has come forward to testify and guide the public. Public opinion couldn't be more appropriate. Question mark. A question mark appeared on Ji Baxiao's forehead. "What's the meaning? Treat them differently, right? You are still not my brother Ji Baxiao." After complaining in his heart, Ji Xiao looked at Qin Ruyan resentfully, feeling that this little girl came here to steal his job on purpose. This is a very good move. Seeing Qin Ruyan's willingness to come forward, Yi Junlin smiled with satisfaction. Then, the group left and headed for Taishuanzhou. Watching the young man's disappearing back, Qin Ruyan's eyes flickered. Such a mysterious and powerful existence, she also wanted to take this opportunity to make a good relationship. Sometimes, the road cannot be narrow. As her thoughts fluctuated, Qin Ruyan looked at the devastated Taichu Holy Land, her delicate face was as cold as frost. After this disaster, only 1 in 10 cultivators survived in the Taichu Holy Land. Even if some tenacious disciples wanted to rebuild, this sect was no longer worthy of being called a holy land, and it was not even as good as the lowest sect in the central region. Strictly speaking, the Taichu Holy Land is gone. Currently, there are only 3 holy places left in the central region. Humph, you deserve to end up like this by colluding with the undead blood clan. Qin Ruyan said coldly. Through the fragmented memory, she knew the harm of the undead blood clan. If this group of monsters were allowed to continue to develop, not only the central region but also the entire Kunlun realm would be in vain. Fortunately, that man took action. As for why the opponent was so strong, Qin Ruyan was puzzled. Even if she broke through to the 9th level of the Immortal King, she might not be able to kill a strong man of Shui Tu's level cleanly and neatly. This is an absolute crushing from strength. Despair. Not long after, the news about the destruction of Taichu Holy Land swept across the central region like a violent storm. Suddenly, it caused a sensation in various Dao states. Damn, Taichu Holy Land is gone. That's one of the 4 holy lands. It is said that it was done by the Red Demon. A cultivator from Tianyuan State saw him killing his way into Taichu Holy Land and turning the world upside down. Oh my god, is the demonic path going to flourish completely? Even a strong person like Taichu Holy Land can't escape the clutches of this big demon. Discussions from all over the place were everywhere, making a lot of noise. Countless cultivators were shocked and angry about this matter, and were extremely sad about the end of the destruction of Taichu Holy Land. After all, the Taichu Holy Land has a long history and is the immortal Taoist tradition of the central region. It has always stood here despite the vicissitudes of life. I didn't expect it to end in this way. However, at this time, different voices began to sound. Fellow Taoists, in fact, the Taichu Holy Land has brought this upon itself. What do you mean? Do you remember that day when a terrifying blood-colored giant appeared? It was not a creature from the Kunlun realm, but actually a foreign race from outside the domain, called the Undead Blood Clan. This monster secretly colluded with the Taichu Holy Lord and wanted to use my central domain as a place of captivity. Fuck, there is such a thing. Keep talking. Later, it was Kai Mo's master who stopped the crisis. What the hell, Kai Mo's master? Brother, I want to know where you heard it from. Hehe, it was said by Yin Yang Shengzi. No way, you even believe what that guy said. Half of the rumors in the central domain over the years came from his mouth. That's right, anything Yin Yang Shengzi said is almost unreliable, and this must be something he made up. Many people don't believe what Ji Xiao said, it's just a joke after dinner. It was not until Qin Ruyan stood up that the direction of public opinion was reversed. She went to Yingkui headquarters to tell the truth in her personal name. In Yingkui, the voices of Qin Ruyan and the female announcer were heard. Fairy Qin, do you mean that the Holy Land of Taichu harbors filth and has long been a den of foreign races? That's right, the Holy Lord of Taichu has long been a minion of the Undead Blood Clan and has persecuted countless innocent monks in secret. Our Yaoguang Holy Land has dug out many bodies that have been drained of blood from the old site of the Holy Land of Taichu. I can even conclude that the culprit of the mysterious disappearance of many immortals that occurred a while ago is the Holy Lord of Taichu. Oh my god, this is incredible. By the way, Fairy Qin, many eyewitnesses in Tianyuanzhou proved that the monster was finally killed by a flash of sword light. Who was the one who did it? He is the master of fellow Taoist Hong. We all call him Senior Yi. He came from the East region. What, you mean the master of Kai Mo Hong Chenny? Isn't that a super big devil? Please be respectful, it was Senior Yi who saved the entire central region. I'm very sorry. The content broadcast by Yingkui spread to all places in the central region in just one day. After all, Qin Ruyan went to Yingkui headquarters. As the most powerful media organization in the central region, its influence is unquestionable. The most important thing is that the inside information disclosed to the public this time made the entire central region explode. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feet 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _ type. Mix. Chapter 334. C336 Jumping back and forth on the edge of death. Unlike the tainted yin-yang saint Ji Ba, when Qin Ruyan said these words in her personal name, countless cultivators believed them all without any doubt. After all, Qin Ruyan's reputation is extremely valuable, and her reputation is a golden signboard. Few people in the central region would doubt the news she said. As the inside story of the destruction of the Taichu Holy Land was revealed, the direction of public opinion in the outside world changed instantly. This is the voice of Fairy Qin, and it's still as nice as before. Hey, is this the point? The point is the news she revealed. It's unbelievable that the Holy Lord of Taichu is such a scum. We used to regard him as the light of righteousness. Damn it, this old man is simply a shame for the righteousness. It turns out that my uncle mysteriously disappeared, and it was him who was behind it. Damn it, give my uncle back his life. It's unforgivable that the Holy Land of Taichu will not be destroyed. Fortunately, a peerless master took action to prevent this disaster. Alas, as righteous cultivators, we will be saved by the master of the devil one day. It was Senior Yi who did it. During this period, hundreds of millions of cultivators in the central region silently recited the 3 words, Senior Yi, in their mouths, and were in awe of this mysterious existence that controlled the power of heaven and earth. Senior Yi's name resounded throughout the 108 states of the central region. Everyone knows it, everyone knows it. On the other hand, Ji Ba was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Why, you don't believe what this holy son said. You believe what Qin Ruyan said. Is my reputation so bad? As he said that, he turned his head to look at the middle-aged man standing behind him, who was wearing a black and white robe and had a strange look on his face, and complained. Holy Lord, do you think that your disciple is wronged? The yin-yang Holy Lord was silent for a long time, and under Ji Ba's expectant eyes, he uttered a word with difficulty. Unfair. Hearing this, Ji Ba felt relieved, and his face showed a touching expression. Holy Lord, I knew you were on my side. Haha, you are the holy son I chose, of course I will believe you. The yin-yang Holy Lord smiled, and the smile looked a little forced. In fact, he secretly complained in his heart. Damn it, who let you always speak without thinking, bragging outside, even if it is true, it becomes a lie when it comes out of your mouth. At this time, Ji Ba sighed helplessly. Hey, after this incident, I finally understand. Prejudices in people's hearts are like a mountain. No matter how hard you try, you can't move it. Hearing this, the yin-yang Saint Lord turned around silently. I should cooperate with your performance, but I turned a blind eye. To be honest, if it weren't for Ji Ba's most thorough understanding of the yin-yang Tao and the strongest fighting power among the younger generation of the Holy Land, the yin-yang Saint Lord would never want to choose such a weirdo as the Holy Son. In recent years, because of this guy's various operations outside, the reputation of the yin-yang Holy Land has been ruined. It can be said to be the most unpretentious immortal force in the central region. Hey, why did you turn around, Saint Lord? Are you listening to me? Ji Ba's curious voice came from behind. Well, I'm thinking about what you said, it does make sense. The yin-yang Saint Lord turned around and said seriously. Haha, Saint Lord, you understand me. By the way, let's talk business. Have you met that Senior Yi? What kind of person is he? The yin-yang Saint Lord quickly changed the subject and said solemnly. For the most popular peerless strongman in the central region, the yin-yang Saint Lord was eager to learn more information. In fact, he was very confused. He used to be the top strongman in the central region. After the great changes in the world, he did not dare to be tired at all and desperately seized the opportunity to practice and improve his realm. A few days ago, he just broke through to the 5th level of Xuanxian. The yin-yang Saint Lord felt high-spirited and proud of standing at the forefront of the times. In his cognition, Xuanxian is currently the ceiling of the central region. What happened? A mysterious young man from the East region shattered his fantasy. He is directly in the realm of the immortal king. Compared with him, he is just a bigger ant. Well, it's quite frustrating. Therefore, the yin-yang Saint Lord wanted to find out what kind of person the Senior Yi is. If they meet in the future, he can cater to his preferences. Hey, Holy Lord, you asked the right person. No one in this world knows Senior Yi better than me. Ji Ba patted his chest, and in the eyes of yin-yang Holy Lord who was eager for an answer, he first took a deep breath, and then said like a bamboo tube pouring beans. He is a handsome, suave, elegant, handsome, and powerful man who is loved by everyone. The corners of Yin Yang Holy Lord's mouth twitched, his face turned liver-colored, and the idea of establishing another holy son in his heart reached its peak at this moment. Holy Lord, you know me, I love to tell the truth the most. Ji Ba Xiao said sincerely. Forget it, it's useless to ask you. Yin Yang Holy Lord had a dark face, and turned around and left in anger, and began to think about the candidate for the new holy son. Hey, in fact, many people don't know that I recognized Senior Yi as my godfather at that time. Swish. Hearing this, the Yin Yang Saint Lord instantly disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he had come to Ji Ba Xiao, holding his shoulders tightly with both hands, breathing rapidly, and said with blazing eyes. You mean, you recognize that Senior Yi is your godfather? Holy Lord Yin and Yang simply couldn't imagine that his own holy son would actually be Senior Yi's adopted son. This was a great joy for the entire Holy Land. After all, the Yin Yang Holy Land in the future will have the immortal king as its backer. Before Ji Ba Xiao could continue to speak, Holy Master Yin Yang smiled happily and touched his head. Oh, you are the smartest in the entire Holy Land. You have lived up to my expectations of you. Ji Ba Xiao, what a great Ji Ba Xiao you are. Well, Holy Master, don't get excited yet. Ji Ba Xiao said awkwardly. I recognized Senior Yi as my godfather, but he rejected me on the spot. As soon as these words came out, the air suddenly fell silent. In the sky, there were several calls of crows. Holy shit, Holy Master, are you okay? Ji Ba Xiao looked at the middle-aged man in front of him in surprise, with wisps of green smoke coming out of his head. Holy Lord Yin Yang resisted the urge to slap this young man to death. Can't you speak more fully? Are you kidding me on purpose? Sure enough, that senior is so unparalleled, how could he fall in love with someone like you? Haha, after all, I thought too much. Holy Lord Yin Yang decisively turned around and left. Now his idea of replacing the Holy Son became more determined than ever. Change, must change, even a pig is better than this one. Suddenly, Ji Ba Xiao's voice sounded again. Although Senior Yi did not accept me as his adopted son, fortunately, I accepted his apprentice as his eldest brother, which can be considered a good gain. Holy Lord Yin and Yang stopped abruptly, then walked backwards and returned to Ji Ba Xiao's side, saying in a tentative tone. You accepted Red Mo as your eldest brother. Now the outside world knows that Red Demon is Senior Yi's apprentice, and his prestige is even greater than before. If this guy recognizes him as his eldest brother, with this relationship, it will be an unexpected surprise for the Yin and Yang Holy Land. No, Ji Ba Xiao shook his head. What the hell? Holy Lord Yin Yang couldn't bear it anymore, and the veins on his forehead were exposed. He raised his hand to slap it away hard, threatening to make his head explode. The eldest brother I recognize is also Senior Yi's apprentice. His name is Li Wuji. He is as powerful as the Red Demon and has been chopped down by him. His strength is evident. In an instant, the hand of Holy Lord Yin Yang hovered in the air, only 2 centimeters away from Ji Ba Xiao's head. Is this true? There's absolutely no lies. Ji Ba Xiao's expression was particularly determined. Ha ha ha, I knew I saw you right. You are indeed the Kalinzi who will revitalize our Yin Yang Holy Land. When I abdicate in the future, the position of Holy Lord will be yours, Ji Ba Xiao. Holy Master Yin Yang smiled brightly, and at this time, his hand gently touched Ji Ba Xiao's head, completely different from his previous vicious look. Holy Lord, don't worry, I am willing to go through fire and water for the Yin Yang Holy Land without any hesitation. Okay, very good, looking at the Yin Yang Holy Master with a friendly smile. Ji Ba Xiao didn't know why, but he always felt that his head was cold just now, as if he was on the edge of the gate of hell. Is it an illusion? Chapter 335. C337 Zhang Tianming, are you playing me? Taishuanzhou, Xuantian Holy Land. Holy Lord Zhang Tianming paced back and forth, feeling anxious and uneasy. Before, he sent Lu Qingming to the eastern region to investigate the Xuantian sect, but when he came back, he told all kinds of outrageous things about what he saw and heard. Because he felt that the other party was talking nonsense, he ordered Lu Qingming to be imprisoned in a sky jail in a rage. Unexpectedly, the Red Demon really had a master, and he showed off his skills some time ago, killing the alien race that was causing trouble in Tianyuan state. That's the Immortal King. As a result, he was instantly killed by the Red Demon's master with a sword. What kind of unfathomable strength does it take to achieve this easily? For this reason, Zhang Tianming was extremely panicked. He even began to feel that the rumors Lu Qingming said were somewhat true. But the problem is it too ridiculous? But if you don't believe it, how can you explain that the other party is so powerful? In the past few days, Jiang Tianming was in a state of confusion, always feeling like he was getting into trouble. Suddenly, a cry came from outside, "Holy Lord, do you think I brought someone here?" Jiang Tianming cast his gaze subconsciously. When he saw clearly who was coming, he suddenly became nervous and stuttered a little. Could this be? "Holy Lord, this is Senior Yi. He is visiting our holy land as a guest," Lin Dushou said with a smile. "So this is Xuantian Holy Land. It doesn't look very good. Compared with our Xuantian sect, it is much inferior. Xiao Li, although you are telling the truth, we are guests from afar, so we must be careful with our words." "Master, my disciple realizes his mistake." Yi Junlin and the others came slowly, looking around like tourists, appreciating the scene inside Xuantian Holy Land. In fact, the cultivation environment of Xuantian Holy Land is already the best among all the sects in the central region. However, after Xuantian sect's transformation by Yi Junlin, the cultivation environment is even better than that of Xuantian Holy Land. "Hey, are you the Holy Lord Xuantian?" Yi Junlin came to the hall with his hands behind his hands and saw Jiang Tianming, who was embarrassed at a glance. Seeing this young man, Jiang Tianming's heart pounded. This is the peerless expert currently walking in the central territory, Senior Yi. Jiang Tianming did not dare to be negligent. He raised his hands and said with a smile, "I am the Holy Lord Xuantian, Jiang Tianming." It's funny to say that according to normal relations, Xuantian sect is just a branch of Xuantian Holy Land. When monks of Xuantian sect come here, they must be as respectful as a vassal king meeting his holy master. But now, the status of the two is reversed. For those who didn't know, they thought Yi Junlin was Holy Lord Xuantian. "Then I'll call you Xiaozhang from now on," Yi Junlin said straightforwardly. Xiaozhang. Jiang Tianming almost suspected that his ears had heard wrongly. "I am Holy Lord Xuantian." Looking back on those days, he was the most powerful man in the central region. Who can't honor me and call me Holy Lord Jiang when they see me? In the end, why did you become Xiaozhang? I protest. PFF'd. Seeing Jiang Tianming's ugly expression, Lin Dushou burst out laughing on the spot, then realized something was wrong and quickly shut her mouth. Suddenly, Jiang Tianming seemed to have thought of something, became confident, and said coldly, brushing his sleeves. "Senior Yi, I'm afraid this is not good. Jiang is a person of some status. You call him Xiaozhang. What kind of words does this sound like? What's more, I am the Holy Lord Xuantian, and you are just a member of the Xuantian sect. I'd like to remind you, don't lose sight of priorities." The words just fell. The temperature in the palace dropped sharply. Everyone looked surprised by Jiang Tianming's sudden toughness. "Hey, are you embarrassed? Don't stop me, let me chop this old boy first." Li Wuji's eyes were unkind, and he grasped the handle of the knife at his waist and tried to pull it out. "Leave it to me later to destroy the body and eliminate all traces. Anyway, just create a new obedient holy master." Hong Chenny raised her hand with a sneer, and terrifying red flames appeared on her palm. The situation became tense. Lin Dushou was so frightened that he rushed to the middle, waved his hand and shouted, "No. You all should calm down. The Holy Lord didn't mean this. Dushou, don't forget where you are from. This is our Xuantian Holy Land, and outsiders are not allowed to mess around." Jiang Tianming shouted coldly. Lin Dushou was stunned, then stiffly turned his head and cast a surprised look at Jiang Tianming, as if he was silently interrogating his soul. "How dare you?" Lin Dushou was puzzled by Jiang Tianming's uncharacteristic behavior. "Holy Lord, do you really think that Senior Yi will care about your identity? A mere Xuanxian actually dares to contradict the immortal king. Can't you tell the difference between the big and the small kings? You are confused. Shower, step back." Yi Junlin waved his hand. Invisibly, a force pushed Lin Dushou away from the center of the field. Lin Dushou's scalp was numb and he did not dare to have the slightest objection. Yi Junlin looked directly at the middle-aged man in front of him and said playfully, "It seems that you have a lot of objections to the name Xiaozhang." "Nonsense," Jiang Tianming said coldly. Jiang, stand upright, how can I accept such a joking name? If this spreads out, where will this holy master's face be put?" His tone is very tough. "Oh, since you mentioned face, do you know that this thing must be won through strength? Do you think that with your status, you are qualified to yell in front of me?" Yi Junlin's tone was slow, and his voice contained a sense of oppression at the end. Boom, the terrifying pressure instantly enveloped him. Jiang Tianming's body sank, and he knelt on the ground. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead, and he couldn't move. It was as if he was carrying the 10,000 Blades mountain on his back, and the pressure was huge. Jiang Tianming's face flushed and he growled, his eyes full of shock and anger. Hey, Lin Dusho sighed. Holy Lord, why are you doing this? If you want to show off, you have to choose the right occasion. I wonder if your thoughts have changed now. Yi Junlin said lightly. Mr. Yi, I can't compare with you in your high cultivation, but I, Zhang, am not a soft persimmon that can be easily controlled. My Xuantian Holy Land has. Okay, let your backer behind the scenes come out quickly. It's tiring to act with you. Yi Junlin waved his hand to interrupt Jiang Tianming's words and said bluntly. In fact, after he entered Xuantian Holy Land, he noticed something was wrong. It seemed that there was an ancient breath hiding, and this breath was exactly the same as the resurrected person he met before. Obviously, there was also an immortal king-level creature behind Xuantian Holy Land. Out of caution and curiosity, Yi Junlin wanted to use Jiang Tianming as an excuse to lure that guy out. At this time, everyone looked at each other. Lin Dusho was stunned. No wonder the Holy Lord dared to contradict Senior Yi like this. It turned out that there was a big guy behind him. The question is, can that big guy beat Senior Yi? Okay, very good, since you have already seen it, I won't beat around the bush with you. Jiang Tianming laughed in anger, then supported himself with his hands on the ground and raised his head, shouting hoarsely. Senior Go, please come forward to make the decision for me. The mellow voice was deafening, containing a majestic immortal power, and spread to the depths of the forbidden area of Xuantian Holy Land. After shouting, Jiang Tianming looked fearless. Wait, Senior Go will be here soon. He knew very well how powerful Senior Go was. When he first appeared, his cultivation was not only the 9th level of the Immortal King, but also the top ancient demon clan, almost comparable to the divine beast. How many creatures of this level dared to compete in the central region? So, even though he knew that Yi Junlin was very strong, Jiang Tianming still felt that Senior Go was not inferior to him. At best, they were on par. Which Taoist friend from the ancient times? Kanglang Jun, who was at the back of the crowd, asked in surprise. Although he was at the level of the Immortal King, as a handyman around Yi Junlin, he had the lowest status in the entire team. At this moment, seeing the suspected resurrectionist about to appear, Kanglang Jun couldn't help but feel curious. Result: dozens of seconds passed. There was no movement from Xuantian Holy Land. Seeing this, everyone looked strange. Jiang Tianming was sweating and secretly complaining in his heart. Strange, why didn't Senior Go come out? So embarrassing. Senior Go, please show up quickly. I need your help. Well, I know you are of noble status, but I really need your help this time. Come out quickly, everyone is waiting, please. The expression on Jiang Tianming's face gradually changed from anxiety to panic. You promised to protect me, but this is the result. It was a mistake after all. Jiang Tianming regretted it in his heart. If he had known earlier, he would not pretend and just admit his weakness. Now he is in a dilemma, so embarrassing. Yi Junlin was impatient and shouted coldly. You bastard, I know you are hiding in there, get out of here quickly, if you dare to pretend to be dead again. I will chop you with a sword. The clear voice was like thunder rolling in the sky, spreading throughout the Xuantian Holy Land, making countless disciples and elders feel terrified. The next second, an anxious shout came from outside. Fellow Taoist, don't get excited, let's talk it out. Peace is the most precious thing. Everyone looked over. An old man wearing a dark yellow Taoist robe, with dry yellow hair and a dog nose, ran in anxiously, fearing that he would be sent to the west by a sword if he was late. Senior Go, you, Jiang Tianming felt something was wrong. Yi Junlin looked up and down at the old man with a scrutinizing look, and narrowed his eyes and said, why do you look like a dog? Fellow Taoist, you are joking, my body is a dog. The yellow-haired old man said truthfully. Dog. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Yes, it's a dog. As he said that, the yellow-haired old man's head turned into a dog's head, with shiny yellow hair all over his body, and a barking sound came out of his mouth. Then he changed back again, with an awkward but polite smile on his face. Dao, do you believe it now? See, this is called professionalism. Yi Junlin pointed at the yellow-haired old man with one hand, turned his head and said to Hong Chenny and others. Yes, yes, yes. Hong Chenny and others nodded. Tell me, what's your name? Seeing that the other party was very disciplined, Yi Junlin's attitude eased a little. I am Go Buli, from the Tengu tribe. Go Buli bowed and said respectfully. What, Tengu tribe? Hearing this race, Kanglang Jun was shocked by Go Buli's origin. Dollar window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target underscore type, mix. Chapter 336. C338 Dogs are good friends of humans. What happened to the Tengu tribe? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Kanglang Jun said with awe. The Tengu tribe is the supreme demon tribe, with talents and qualifications almost close to the divine beasts. This race was once notorious. In the early years, there was a lucky Tengu tribe member who was chosen by the Fuyao Empress as a follower. At that time, he was very powerful. Because of this, Kanglang Jun was very surprised after hearing about Go Buli's origin. Go Buli smiled, "My fellow Taoist, the lucky person you are talking about is me." Hiss. Kanglang Jun took a deep breath, and the air in the hall became thin in an instant. His expression was full of shock, and his eyes were full of disbelief. The Tengu tribe member in front of him was actually a follower of the Fuyao Empress back then. What a powerful identity this is. When one person succeeds, all his family members will rise to heaven. The Fuyao Empress is at the top of the Kunlun realm, and millions of creatures worship her. It is absolutely a great honor to be her follower, and it is a background that cannot be exchanged for joining any powerful immortal sect. In the past, even if the immortal emperor came, he had to call this old man affectionately, Master Go. Unfortunately, the Fuyao Empress has fallen, and this invincible background has become a thing of the past. But even so, Kanglang Jun still has a respectful attitude towards Go Buli. Yi Junlin, who learned the secret on the fallen immortal island, of course, had heard of this legendary empress. What surprised Yi Junlin was that this old man actually followed the other party. "Oh, I didn't expect you to have such a great background," Yi Junlin said with interest. Go Buli's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he rubbed his hands and smiled apologetically. No matter how great my background is, it can't compare to you, sir." Just kidding, even the void mirror peeping at this young man couldn't withstand the cause and effect and exploded directly. How outrageous is this origin? Thinking of the scrapped mirror, Go Buli's heart seemed to be bleeding. The source of my happiness. So now, you want to stand up for him, right? Yi Junlin pointed at Zhang Tianming, who was lying on the ground like a toad, with a playful expression. "Senior Go, you promised me that you would protect Xuantian Holy Land," Zhang Tianming said with embarrassment. He originally thought that Go Buli could compete with Yi Junlin, but he didn't dare to offend him at all. Go Buli was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. To be honest, when he saw Yi Junlin visiting Xuantian Holy Land, he was almost scared to pee, hiding in the depths of the Forbidden Land and trembling. Because of the matter of the void mirror, Go Buli thought Yi Junlin was here to settle accounts. After all, if he had a bad temper and spied on such a taboo person, it would be normal to kill him. So, he tried his best to restrain his breath, fearing that Yi Junlin would find his hiding place. Result: Zhang Tianming is crazy, he actually wants to use him to fill the scene. This behavior is undoubtedly putting him on the fire. After hearing the other party's request for help, Go Buli directly chose to ignore it, trying to get away with it by pretending to be dead. Unexpectedly, this trick was exposed, and he finally had no choice but to come out and face it all. Go Buli was so angry about Zhang Tianming's operation. "You almost killed me, humph, I am protecting Xuantian Holy Land, not saying that I must protect you. Who do you think you are?" Hearing this, Zhang Tianming's heart was cold, and he completely recognized the reality. Even this powerful Tengu tribe member with a big background did not dare to confront Yi Junlin head-on. With him, he really has no right to challenge. "Dao Yu, I am not very familiar with him. I just stayed here for a while." Go Buli looked at Yi Junlin again and said with a smile on his face. "I see." Yi Junlin nodded. As the saying goes, don't hit a smiling person. Seeing that the other party had been very humble from beginning to end, he didn't want to continue to embarrass him. Lin Dushou took the opportunity to smooth things over and said, "Senior Yi, since the misunderstanding has been cleared up, why don't we eat and talk at the same time? Okay, let's make a large hot pot. I haven't eaten it many times since I came to the central region." Yi Junlin said. "Okay, I'll go prepare the ingredients now." Lin Dushou ran out excitedly. Seeing that the atmosphere had eased a lot, Go Buli secretly breathed a sigh of relief and smiled, "Fellow Taoist, you are in a good mood." Yi Junlin suddenly thought of something and looked at Go Buli meaningfully. It would be great if there was dog meat hot pot. Go Buli. Hearing this, he was almost scared to death. Dog meat hot pot? Are you trying to make fun of me? Could it be that this is a destined disaster? Under the gaze of the young man, Go Buli began to sweat profusely, with beads of sweat on his forehead and a chill on his back. Don't be nervous, I'm just joking. Yi Junlin patted the yellow-haired old man on the shoulder and said with a smile. Go Buli raised his sleeves to wipe the sweat from his forehead and laughed dryly. Haha, I didn't expect you to be so humorous. Your joke almost made me lose my life. Although, I really want to taste dog meat. Yi Junlin changed the subject. Go Buli, how does it say that dogs are good friends of humans, so can't we live in peace? At this time, Bai Shaoxi spoke up. This little silver-haired loli in a pink skirt, with a cute face, said seriously. There are some rules for cooking dog meat. First, remove the hair on the dog meat skin, scrape it clean in cold water, cut it into small cubes of about 4 centimeters, boil it in a pot with cold water, remove the blood, wash it with clean water, drain the water, mix it with sorghum wine, salt and MSG, marinate it slightly, then put the wok on the fire, add cooked lard, and heat it to 80% hot. Bai Shaoxi, a top fairy chef, was very knowledgeable when talking about how to handle dog meat, especially her ignorant eyes, which became much wiser. Go Buli looked at this silver-haired loli with an unbelievable look in his eyes. You little sister, how can you be so vicious? What did I do to offend you? Why did you suddenly say something terrible? And you said it in front of me. Bai Shaoxi seemed to be immersed in her own world. She counted on her little fingers and said, after the dog meat is processed, it can be paired with star anise, cinnamon, grass fruit, ginger, garlic, cooking wine, soy sauce, dark soy sauce, fermented bean curd, sand ginger powder. According to personal taste, you can also add chili peppers, peppercorns and other seasonings to increase the spicy and numbing taste. Damn, I'm almost drooling after listening to this. Li Wuji couldn't help wiping his mouth, and his eyes intentionally or unintentionally swept towards Go Buli. It feels delicious. Hong Chenny rubbed his chin. It's really delicious. Yi Junlin exclaimed. It was obviously a soft, crisp and tender voice, but Go Buli at this time sounded like a devil whispering in his ear, making him feel terrified and his heart twitched. Don't say it, please don't say it anymore. Go Buli became more and more flustered as he listened, and soon collapsed on the spot, squatting on the ground with his hands covering his ears, looking like he wanted to cry but couldn't. Oh my god, why are you so malicious to a dog? I'm sorry for being a dog. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 337. C339 Supreme Saint Lord. Stop, look how scared you are. Yi Junlin hurriedly called for a stop, and Bai Shaoxi shut up obediently, but she still looked like she was not satisfied. Poor Go Buli, after hearing all kinds of dog meat dishes and ways of eating, his heart was greatly hurt, so much so that he is still in shock and afraid that he will be served on the table one day. Oh, these are just children's jokes, don't take it to heart. Yi Junlin reached out and pulled Go Buli up, patted his shoulder and comforted him. Go Buli was still frightened and said depressedly, the problem is, this is not funny at all. Suddenly, Lin Dushou's voice came, Senior Yi, we have prepared the ingredients. I guarantee you will be satisfied. Looking around, a special large iron pot was brought up, with all kinds of ingredients. The iron pot began to pour water and light a fire, and hot gas came out. Xiao He, Yi Junlin shouted. Then, in front of Lin Dushou's stunned eyes, a dark-skinned, handsome young man leapt up calmly and fell straight into the pot like a free fall. His movements were smooth and skillful. His skill was so heartbreaking. What's going on? Lin Dushou hurried over to see what was going on in the iron pot. I saw a big black mushroom slowly floating on the water. With its addition, a refreshing fragrance began to rise, as if it contained some kind of magical power, making the soup base have an incomparable taste. Gurgle. Lin Dushou couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and even had the urge to taste it. Senior Yi's disciples are indeed extraordinary. After a stick of incense, the black mushroom in the iron pot jumped out and turned into a young man again. The dark-skinned boy said calmly, done. Tisk tisk, this soup is really fragrant. Kanglang Jun stretched his neck, smelled the rich and fragrant smell, and exclaimed sincerely. This is actually a top-grade immortal medicine. It's rare. Go Buli saw the identity of the great Mushroom King, and his eyes were burning and his mouth was full of saliva. You know, the value of a top-grade immortal medicine cannot be ignored even by the immortal. Do you want to eat it? It's more fragrant with dog meat. Yi Junlin deliberately leaned over and whispered in his ear. Hearing this, Go Buli shuddered suddenly and squeezed out a stiff smile. Gao Yu, you are joking, how could I have any thoughts about this little brother? As for dog meat, don't mention it again. Let's eat hot pot. Akun excitedly raised his arms and shouted. Go Buli's eyes flashed, staring at the middle-parted boy, until he saw the other party's true form, and his whole old face changed instantly, and his tone was shocked. This is the supreme god among the demons, the divine beast Kunpeng. In ancient times, the demons had a strict hierarchy. For example, the Tengu clan was the top royal clan among the demons, and below the royal clan was the royal clan. And the true dragon clan, Phoenix clan, and Qilin clan were classified as the imperial clan among the demons, and only they were qualified to be called divine beasts. As for the Kunpeng lineage, it is the top of the imperial clan. If this kind of creature grows up, it can even travel the universe at will, and it can swallow hundreds of planets with its mouth open. Extremely terrifying. Why are there descendants of the Kunpeng lineage in the Kunlun realm now? Go Buli was very puzzled and murmured. After all, he had followed the Fuyao Empress, and he was knowledgeable and knew a lot of inside information. Logically, there are no Kunpengs in Kunlun realm, not even in the immortal realm. It was because the Kunpeng clan, which was already scarce in number, was ambushed and almost destroyed when they followed Emperor Tian to the expedition. It is rumored that the remaining surviving clan members were captured alive by a major force in Juyu, and their fate is uncertain. As the supreme god clan of the demon clan, the ending is simply bleak. So, when seeing Akun appear, Go Buli was puzzled. Where did this little guy come from? This is my mount, Yi Junlin introduced. Go Buli was shocked. You use the descendant of the supreme god clan as a mount. Thinking of the various extraordinary things about this young man, Go Buli could only try his best to convince himself to accept it calmly. At this time, Lin Dusho picked up a plate after plate and poured the things into the hot pot one after another. The various ingredients rose and fell in the soup base, emitting hot aroma. Let's eat. Everyone rushed up, and the scene was very lively. This tripe is good. Damn, don't take my fish balls. Help me get a bowl of soup, thank you. With the soup base made from top-grade immortal medicine, any ingredients become delicious. Yi Junlin and his friends enjoyed their meal very much, and their taste buds were greatly enjoyed. Hot pot culture is so simple. No matter what kind of meat or vegetable, just pour it in. Eat something hot and warm your heart. Lin Dusho came to Zhang Tianming with a bowl and chopsticks, and said with a complicated expression, Holy Lord, do you want to eat something too? Without the coercion, Zhang Tianming could have stood up and moved a long time ago, but he didn't dare to. He could only lie down like a turtle, watching everyone eating hot pot, and he was depressed. Hey, you should eat it. Zhang Tianming sighed. If you can't distinguish between the big and small kings, this is the fate. Thinking about it, many powerful people in the outside world have never had the opportunity to curry favor with Senior Yi. Now that someone has come to his door, he is still conceited and unwilling to lower his face and lower his profile. What a stupid thing to do. How about I ask for a favor? Lin Dusho asked tentatively. No need, as long as Senior Yi doesn't say anything, I will keep lying here. Zhang Tianming said firmly. Xiao Zhang, come here and pour me some wine. At this time, a clear and crisp voice sounded faintly. The two of them looked at each other, showing surprise. Senior Yi, I'm coming right now. Zhang Tianming was overjoyed and came to Yi Junlin's side in a blink of an eye. He respectfully lifted the silver wine pot and poured the mellow fairy wine into the cup in Yi Junlin's hand. Xiao Zhang, do you have any complaints against me? Yi Junlin took a sip of his drink and said. Zhang Tianming lowered his head, like a child who had done something wrong, and said in shame, Senior Yi, stop teasing me. How dare I complain to you? On the contrary, you are willing to come to my Xuantian holy land, where Xiao Zhang and I are the greatest honor in my life. Quote. Yi Junlin waved his hand, the reason why I came here is mainly because of the relationship between our two families. After all, Xuantian sect and Xuantian holy land are related. Yes, you are right, Zhang Tianming stood aside, pouring wine for the young man, feeling something strange in his heart. Who is the Holy Lord of Xuantian Holy Land? Why don't you give up this seat? Maybe I can feel better inside. After experiencing the episode just now, Jiang Tianming was completely convinced, and felt that he was not worthy to continue to be the holy master of Xuantian, so he thought of giving up this position to Yi Junlin. After all, they were both from Xuantian's lineage, and it was suitable in terms of status. When Jiang Tianming talked about giving up the throne, Yi Junlin shook his head. I am already the master of Piaomiao Peak and supreme elder of Xuantian sect. Isn't it appropriate to become the holy master of Xuantian again? Besides, given my temperament, I have no interest in managing Xuantian Holy Land. I just want to be a hands-off shopkeeper. Jiang Tianming was stunned. Lin Dushou secretly sighed. If this person is willing to stay and serve as the holy master, it will definitely be a great good thing for Xuantian Holy Land. In this case, Jiang Tianming's mind was spinning rapidly, thinking about the relationship between the Supreme Elder and the Holy Lord. Suddenly, he had an idea. Yes. How about you become the Supreme Holy Lord? The Supreme Holy Lord. Upon hearing this unique new term, everyone raised their heads with very strange expressions. Yes, it is the Supreme Holy Lord. Jiang Tianming felt that he was a genius and said excitedly, this unprecedented new position will be exclusive to you, Senior Yi. Although the Supreme Holy Lord has a higher status than the Holy Lord, you don't need to manage internal affairs, it's just a name. In this case, are you satisfied? If the relationship between the Supreme Holy Lord and the Holy Lord is substituted into the concept of a secular dynasty, they are the roles of the Supreme Emperor and the Emperor respectively. Yi Junlin fell into deep thought. It doesn't seem to do him any harm. Seeing Yi Junlin agree immediately, Jiang Tianming was very happy. At the same time, thinking that he had been taught a lesson by the Supreme Holy Lord before, Jiang Tianming took it for granted. Holy Son Lin Dushou, meet the Supreme Holy Lord. Lin Dushou couldn't hold back the excitement in his heart and said with cupped hands. This title is really awkward, you should call me Senior Yi. Yi Junlin said angrily. Yes. The fragrant heat rose from the hot pot, and everyone ate happily. After 3 rounds of drinking, Gubuli's face turned red and he opened his heart and said, to be honest, I was truly lucky to be able to follow Empress Fuyao back then. Hearing this, Lord Kanglang suddenly became more interested and asked, Senior Go, I wonder what important position you held in Empress Fuyao's territory back then. I think you must be powerful. That's natural, this position is of vital importance. In the past, when those immortal emperors came to visit Empress Fuyao, I have the right to order them to go back. Hiss. Kanglang Jun took a breath and said in awe, it seems that Senior Go is highly regarded by Empress Fuyao. Hee, it's not bad. Gubuli's face turned red, and he picked up the wine glass and drank it all in one gulp. Yi Junlin asked curiously, what is the position that gives you such great power? Everyone pricked up their ears and wanted to listen carefully. That's, under the focus of several eyes, Gubuli burped, his tone was a bit arrogant, he patted his chest and said proudly. Watchdog. Chapter 338. C340 Really Dog Relying on the Power of Others. Watchdog. Everyone was stunned for a moment, as they were not expecting this answer. Seeing Go Buli's proud look, everyone looked strange. Sensing that the atmosphere was a little wrong, Go Buli began to get a little anxious and quickly explained. Hey, what's wrong with being a watchdog? Is it embarrassing to be a watchdog for Empress Fuyao? Do you know how many people in the Tengu tribe envied my good job back then? Go Buli was telling the truth. Being the watchdog of Empress Fuyao was definitely a glorious feat for the entire Tengu tribe at that time. Even in the family tree, he was given a prominent position separately, which shows how huge his influence was, the kind that will be passed down through the ages. After all, you have to look at the owner when you beat the dog. There is a lucky person in the tribe who became the watchdog of Empress Fuyao. Just because of this relationship, few forces in the Kunlun world dare to provoke the Tengu tribe. So much so that during that period, the status and reputation of the Tengu clan reached its peak, and many imperial clans were afraid of it. This is why Go Buli is so proud to this day. Really a dog relying on the power of others. To be honest, being able to work beside the Fuyao Empress, even as a guard dog, is something that many people envy. Senior Go, I understand your feelings. Kanglang Jun sighed. Haha, little brother, you have a bright future. Go Buli smiled happily, as if he had found a soulmate, and raised his wine glass to signal the other party to clink glasses. No, Senior Go lifted it up. Kanglang Jun quickly picked up the wine glass, the mouth of the wine glass was slightly lower than the other party, and he touched it carefully. Well, it's very detailed. If someone asked him why he did this, Kanglang Jun would answer him directly with a few words. Read more, emotional intelligence. Yi Junlin saw all this and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems that the drinking culture has a long history in the cultivation world. Well, I'm actually very curious, how powerful is the Fuyao Empress? Li Wuji put the mutton into his mouth, chewed it and swallowed it, and asked seriously. Hearing this, Hong Chenny straightened up a little, and his expression showed a solemn look. He was very competitive and was also very curious about this question. Go Buli smiled, little brother, considering that you are a cultivator of this era, I might as well give you some popular science. The ancient times were the most glorious era of the Kunlun world, and the Fuyao Empress was recognized as the strongest. The strongest. Hearing this title, Li Wuji questioned dissatisfiedly, no matter how strong the Fuyao Empress is, can she be as strong as Yi Tiandi? As soon as this was said, the whole audience fell silent. Go Buli almost suspected that he had heard it wrong, and asked uncertainly, what did you say? Yi Tiandi? Yes, Yi Tiandi, Li Wuji said firmly, never heard of it. Go Buli shook his head. Damn, what's your attitude? Li Wuji suddenly became emotional and pointed at the yellow-haired old man and questioned. Go Buli, the problem is, I have never heard of the Yi Tiandi you mentioned before. Little brother, do you remember this person? Go Buli turned his head and looked at Kanglang Jun and asked. Kanglang Jun also looked confused and shook his head like a rattle. Seeing this, Li Wuji said angrily, Yi Tiandi suppressed the dark turmoil and fought bloody battles with the masters of the 7 forbidden areas. Such great achievements, you don't even remember it. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Go Buli was wondering in his heart, how come I don't know about this? Could it be that someone made it up? But seeing that Li Wuji was getting angry, Go Buli was afraid that if he continued to talk, he would irritate the other party, so he nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Ah, yes, yes, yes. I just drank too much and forgot it for a while, little brother, calm down, don't be impulsive. Hearing this, Li Wuji's expression eased, and he snorted coldly, you can even forget such a thing, it seems that you are really drunk. Then, he looked at Kanglang Jun and asked seriously, what about you? Do you remember it? Kanglang Jun was stunned, glanced at Go Buli who was gesturing frantically, then forced a smile and said carefully, maybe I remember it. That's more like it. Li Wuji turned his gaze to Go Buli again, Senior Go, tell me, who is more powerful between Emperor Yi Tian and Empress Fuyao? Go Buli secretly complained. He felt that Li Wuji had a problem with his brain, and he had to use a non-existent fictional character to touch the Empress Fuyao. In the past, he would definitely say that the so-called Emperor Yi Tian was not even worthy of carrying shoes for the Empress Fuyao, but now he had to bow his head under the eaves, but it was hard to speak against his conscience. Ahem, the Emperor Yi Tian they are talking about is me. Yi Junlin coughed a few times and smiled bitterly. This rumor was spread very outrageously before, and because it did not harm him, he simply let the people below take it seriously. But now, Go Buli is a follower of the Empress Fuyao and a living fossil of the old era. Can this rumor continue? In fact, Yi Junlin was also embarrassed. You know, once more people believe in the rumor, even if he, as the original body, comes out to clarify, it will be useless. Now, after meeting someone in the know, this rumor can finally be put to an end. Are you Emperor Yi Tian? Go Buli looked strange, and suddenly thought of the broken void mirror and the terrifying strength currently displayed by the other party. His heartstrings suddenly tightened. Lord Kanglang quietly reminded, Senior Go, he has 9th grade immortal power. Boom. Go ignored the buzzing in his head, and his eyes were as wide as a bell. 9th grade immortal power. That is the supreme immortal power that only the immortal emperor is qualified to attack. This young man is only in the realm of the immortal king and actually has it. Senior Go, tell me quickly, who is more powerful, my master or Empress Fuyao? Li Wuji asked anxiously, his face turned red and he looked like he was constipated. Before this, he had always believed that Yi Junlin was invincible and firmly believed in Yi Junlin's identity. However, the emergence of the Fuyao Empress now aroused Li Wuji's desire to compete. Thinking of the strange things about Yi Junlin, Go Buli thought about it again, and finally said calmly. In a sense, your master is more powerful. Hearing this, Li Wuji breathed a sigh of relief and smiled with satisfaction, that's good. Go Buli felt that he was wrong. If he were in the realm of the immortal king, Yi Junlin would indeed be more powerful than Empress Fuyao back then. But to other people, it means something else. Empress Fuyao was said to be so powerful before, but she didn't expect a being stronger than her to be sitting next to her. It's actually true, Lin Dusha was greatly shocked. Senior Yi's identity is completely shattered now. It seems that what Lu Qingming said before is true, Zhang Tianming murmured, admiring Yi Junlin even more in his heart. He originally thought that the rumor would be exposed on the spot, but a dramatic reversal occurred, leaving Yi Junlin stunned. Good guy, is this okay? While everyone was eating and drinking. In the dark and damp sky prison, there was an unkempt and dirty young man, who seemed to have been abandoned by the world. He was huddled in a corner weakly and helplessly, and murmured feebly. Please, let me out. Everything I say is true. Why don't you believe it? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 339. C341 handsome for only 3 seconds. At this time, Go Buli still had doubts and felt that Yi Junlin's true identity was a mystery. Regarding the title of Emperor Yi Tian, he had never heard of it before, but when the void mirror did shine on the opponent, it exploded directly because he could not bear the cause and effect. This showed that this young man was definitely a taboo figure. Gu Buli, who has followed Empress Fuyao, has a wider range of knowledge and is easier to make bold guesses. Could it be that he is the legendary one favored by heaven? Gu Buli said secretly. When this outrageous idea appeared, Gu Buli not only did not feel surprised, but actually thought it was reasonable. In ancient times, there was a rumor circulating a long time ago. If one day the Kunlun world falls into a huge crisis, heaven will gather the fortunes of the Kunlun world and give birth to a son of destiny. This person will be protected and recognized by heaven. He will be as powerful as the thunder disaster that even the immortal emperors fear, and they must avoid it. Be sharp and dare not make things difficult. In the past, many monks thought this rumor was nonsense and did not take it seriously. However, now, Gu Buli thinks it is very likely to be true. He began to feel that Yi Junlin was the legendary one favored by heaven. Otherwise, how to explain all the extraordinary things about this young man? This person's fighting qualifications are stronger than those of Empress Fuyao back then. Perhaps he can achieve transcendence in the future, surpass the immortal emperor, and lead the lonely Kunlun world to prosperity. When Go Bushong reached this point, he felt particularly excited. Back then, he worked as a watchdog for Empress Fuyao and enjoyed unlimited scenery. Now he has the opportunity to work as a watchdog for the legendary God's Blessed One. From now on, wouldn't his life as a dog be smooth and smooth? This is the highest state of being a dog, and many people would envy it. I am proud to be born a dog. Next, after everyone had had enough wine and food, they all arranged accommodation. In the following days, Yi Junlin and the others lived happily in Xuantian Holy Land. But in the outside world, since the Holy Land of Taichu was removed from the list, a series of turmoil caused by it have intensified in the Central Territory. After all, it was once one of the 4 Holy Lands. It had accumulated so many cultivation resources over the years and occupied a large amount of resource lands during this period. Therefore, when this behemoth fell, many forces in the Central Territory couldn't hold it any longer and began to grab madly with jealousy. A whale falls and everything comes into being. This kind of opportunity is unique. Just as the fighting was going on and all forces were fighting, the former Kangming Dao sect suddenly emerged and swept across all directions like a divine sword. Its momentum is unstoppable. All the immortal sects, large and small, that participated in the robbery were frightened by this tyrannical force. Many people were horrified to discover that the monks of the Kangming Dao sect were like divine soldiers descending from the sky. Their overall strength far exceeded 99% of the sects in the central region. The sect leader Yi Wusheng was like a god possessing him, and he won an overwhelming victory once he took action. In just a few months, the Kangming Dao sect, with lightning speed, quickly seized most of the territory left over from the Holy Land of Taichu, and the scale of its power reached an unprecedented expansion. Such an invincible rise naturally shocked all forces and was unexpected. As everyone knows, the Kangming Dao sect was originally the last of the 8 Dao sects. Later, the other 7 Dao sects gathered a mighty army of immortals and went to the eastern region to defeat the Red Demon Red Chenny. As a result, the entire army was wiped out. It is precisely because of this that the Kangming Dao sect, which has preserved its strength, took advantage of the weakness of the other 7 Dao sects to expand and attack crazily, forcing the other 7 Dao sects to surrender and give away countless resources. The Kangming Dao sect, which had grown wildly at that time, had grown into a well-deserved overlord second only to the 4 Holy Lands. Until the destruction of the Holy Land of Taichu, the Kangming Dao sect once again saw the opportunity and crushed countless immortal sects with its absolute strength. It inherited almost most of the resources of the Holy Land of Taichu and became a rising star in the central region. Just as the turmoil gradually subsided, the Kangming Dao sect, whose strength has skyrocketed, officially released a blockbuster news. Starting today, our Kangming Dao sect will be renamed Kangming Holy Land. Once this statement was issued, it caused a sensation in the central region that was no less than the destruction of the Holy Land at the beginning of time. Countless monks were shocked and realized that they had witnessed the birth of a new Holy Land. This is definitely a historic scene in the world of cultivation. I originally thought that there would only be 3 Holy Lands in the central region, but I didn't expect that Kangming Dao sect was so ambitious that it actually announced that it would become the 4th Holy Land, replacing the previous Holy Land of Taichu. Just thinking about it makes it all so crazy. Sect Master Yi is so courageous. Shouldn't we call him Holy Master Yi in the future? That's natural. Kangming Dao sect is already a thing of the past. I really didn't expect that the last person in the 8 Dao sect in the past could grow to this point one day. As the saying goes, the world is still uncertain, and you and I are both dark horses. As long as you dare to think and fight, nothing is impossible. There was a lot of discussion and public opinion from the outside world. Kangming Holy Land. In the splendid hall, all the elders were beaming with joy, and it was obvious that they were in a very good mood. On the throne, with the bright fairy light shining, a middle-aged man wearing a cloud-patterned holy robe, with broad eyebrows and a high nose appeared. He stood with his hands behind his hands, his eyes stern, and there was an indescribable high-spiritedness and even greater majesty. See the Lord of the Night. After Yi Wuxian appeared, the elders in the hall all raised their hands and said respectfully. The loud voice was deafening, echoing in the hall, and seemed full of momentum. Excuse me. Yi Wuxian sat on the throne calmly, and the slight curve of his mouth showed that he was very happy with this new title. Who would have thought that his enduring humiliation and bearing the burden would lead to today's supreme glory? The former leader of the 8 great Dao sects in the Central Territory has now become a new Holy Land level force. He is silent in the night, and can be said to be the master of the sect's resurgence, a legendary leader who will be recorded in history. The tides are turning. Looking back on his past experience of swallowing his anger, Yi Wuxian let out a sigh. If he hadn't put on a good show, happened to avoid the demon-slaying battle, and retained his elite strength to the maximum extent, how could he have achieved today's brilliant achievements? Life is really like a drama, and the important thing is acting. This kind of counterattack drama is so exciting. Holy Lord Yi, according to the report from the spies, Red Devil and Senior Yi have never come out since they entered Xuantian Holy Land. Moreover, Holy Lord Xuantian Zhang Tianming not long ago issued a statement claiming that Senior Yi has officially served as Supreme Holy Master. An elder reported. Yi Wuxian's smile quickly disappeared, and his eyes showed complex emotions, including fear, unwillingness, envy, jealousy, etc. He knew that this was Zhang Tianming's way of forcibly binding the relationship. Now the entire Central Territory is in awe of Senior Yi. Now that Senior Yi has become the Supreme Holy Lord, this is tantamount to informing the outside world in disguise that Xuantian Holy Land is linked to Senior Yi. Damn it, Xuantian Holy Land is already strong. This way, its position becomes even more unshakable. The knight was silent and angry. Compared with the other 3 Holy Lands, the foundation of his Kangming Holy Land is still too weak. Suddenly, Yi Wuxian felt that this scene seemed familiar. Before, the sect was the crane tail of the 8 great Dao sect, and now it is the crane tail of the 4 Holy Lands. Thinking of this, the pride in my heart dissipated a lot, replaced by a kind of depression. Just then, a strange blue smoke suddenly rose in the center of the hall, and a creepy and sinister laughter came from the smoke. This place is really good, it is very suitable for me to preach. How dare you, such a monster, dare to run wild here? The sudden change made Yi Wuxian stand up abruptly in shock, the hairs all over his body stood up, and he felt like he was facing a great horror. There was a dark wind in the hall, and the cold atmosphere spread like a tide. The scalps of the elders were numb, and they were horrified to find that whenever they were enveloped by the aura, their bodies could not move, as if they were falling into an endless abyss. The smoke gradually dissipated, and an old man appeared, wearing a black linen robe, with a thin body, rugged bones, a face covered with a white bone mask, and messy gray hair. His green eyes were as sharp as a knife, which made people shudder. The aura around him was very cold, and there were bloodshot bone spurs protruding from both sides of his shoulders, which was very strange. Invisibly, it brought a huge sense of oppression to everyone. Yi Wusheng's heart skipped a beat, and he pretended to be calm and asked, "Who are you? Tell me your name." Although this old man invaded quietly and appeared in a very special way, he is still the Holy Lord of Kangming Holy Land and one of the most powerful people in the entire Central Territory. He still has the necessary qualifications. Haha, you ignorant young man, I am Master Ji Yu. Master Ji Yu said. Ji Yu Zhenren. Everyone looked at each other, they had never heard of it before. Who are you, this holy master? If you dare to trespass into the Kangming Holy Land, you will be punished. Yi Wusheng shouted violently, releasing a mysterious aura at the level of the immortal. Junior, you are standing too high, I can't hear you clearly. Master Ji Yu stretched out his hand, and terrifying power burst out from his palm. Aha! Yi Wusheng was horrified to find that he had no power to resist, and was forcibly pulled down by a force on the spot. He fell hard to the ground, with his face close to the ground and unable to move. He tried to struggle, but to no avail, like a piece of fish on a chopping board that was left to be slaughtered. At this moment, Yi Wusheng realized that this old man's realm was far higher than him. Master Bone walked slowly to Yi Wusheng, looking down at him condescendingly. A hoarse and unpleasant voice came from behind the mask, with a hint of joking. Now that I can hear you clearly, please speak. Yi Wusheng was sweating profusely. He forced a smile and kept lying on the ground. Senior, your great presence has really made my Kangming Holy Land shine. What are you doing for me? Chapter 340, C342 The Prelude to the Chaotic World. Hearing this answer, Master Ji Yu let out a mocking laugh. Junior, you know what's going on. Thank you for the compliment, Senior. Yi Wusheng's smile was very forced, with an indescribable bitterness. Why do you have to come to my door when I am in high spirits? Old man, have I dug up your ancestral graves? Master Bone looked around and tutted. Your place is not bad, it is very suitable for me to create a Taoist tradition. From now on, this sect will be renamed the Bone Demon Sect. From now on, you will all be a part of the Bone Demon Sect. Ah, Yi Wusheng was shocked and frightened by this decision. I just led the sect to glory and became a new sacred place, but you came to pick peaches and establish a new orthodoxy. In the main hall, the elders looked at each other with shock and anger in their eyes. What a great shame for a dove to occupy a magpie's nest. Yi Wusheng was extremely reluctant in his heart, and said with a smile, Senior, are you kidding me? How can I get into your eyes in a poor place like mine? Besides, you are going to establish a demon sect, the orthodoxy of my Kangming Holy Land. I'm not acclimated to you, look at this. Ji Yu Zhenren waved his hand impatiently, that's it. I'm interested in you. You, a junior, should feel honored. The tone was very strong and domineering. Yi Wusheng looked ugly. Where did this old guy come from? He robbed other people's dojo at the slightest disagreement. It was indeed the devil's style. It can be seen that you are very unconvinced. Sensing the stalemate in the atmosphere, Master Bone sneered from the corner of his mouth and released a terrifying sense of oppression, filling every corner of the hall. Puff! As if being hit by a mountain, everyone fell to the ground, spitting blood, and the blood stains on the ground were shocking. Immortal king, an elder's voice trembled, his eyes unbelievable. A swarm of ants. Master Bone sneered. Yi Wusheng felt a chill in his heart. How could a strange immortal king appear so unexpectedly? In the past, aliens from outside the territory were causing trouble in Tianyuan Prefecture, and Senior Yi shocked the world with one strike of his sword. Later, a demonic figure at the level of an immortal king appeared and wanted to occupy his Kangming Holy Land. What's going on these days? To tell you the truth, I come from ancient times. I have been sleeping all the time. In the past few days, I felt that the laws of heaven and earth seemed to be loosened. I knew that the Kunlun world was about to usher in new changes, so I decided to be born. Establish a moral line and recruit many disciples. Master Ji Yu put his hands behind his back and said proudly. Everyone was shocked when they heard the news. Yi Wusheng thought of Red Demon's master. No wonder he had such an unfathomable Taoism. It turned out that he also came from ancient times. Damn it, you are already a big boss, but you still have to come here to abuse me. Doesn't your conscience feel painful? Senior, I understand the truth, but why does your big Buddha come to my small temple? Yi Wusheng was very depressed. Master Ji Yu said angrily. You, a junior, can't understand human language, can you? This is my orthodoxy, and you are my disciples. Is it difficult to understand? Huh. Such a shameless and reasonable answer shocked Yi Wusheng and the others so much that their jaws almost dropped. You just want to pick up the ready-made one, but you still have to say it in such a beautiful and refined way. Soon, the real troubled times will begin. When those old guys come out in droves, the entire Kunlun world will be in chaos, and many forces will be reshuffled. You can avoid this disaster by accepting me as the leader as soon as possible. Go have some fun. Master Bone sneered. After hearing the news, everyone was frightened. Damn it, instead of 2 or 3 immortal kings, there is a large group. Yi Wusheng thought about it and was extremely scared. If it really comes to that point, the strength of Kangming Holy Land is really not worth mentioning. Maybe it's a good thing to rely on a backer as early as possible. However, Yi Wusheng still found it difficult to accept this result. Holy Lord, I was kicked out before my butt was even hot, and the foundation I worked hard for became someone else's wedding dress. God, why am I so unlucky? Teacher, leader, I understand. Can you please let me stand up and speak? It's very uncomfortable for me to lie down and talk to you like this. Haha, you are quite wise. Everyone, get up. As Master Ji restrained his breath, Yi Wusheng and the others relaxed, and then they were able to stand up and stretch their muscles. Master, from now on, Kangming Holy Land will be the Bone Demon sect. Do you have any other instructions? Yi Wusheng asked with a humble posture and a bitter smile. That is, quickly integrate the demonic forces in the central region. I want all the demonic monks here to serve me as the leader and strengthen the momentum of my Bone Demon sect. Master Ji said ambitiously. Think about what he couldn't do back then, let's do it in this new era. Yi Wusheng looked confused. What do you mean, you find it difficult? Master Gu's tone was dissatisfied, and his cold gaze glanced at Yi Wusheng. Yi Wusheng's hair almost burst as he felt the gap between the immortal king and the mysterious immortal, and there was despair beneath the fear deep in his heart. Leader, don't get me wrong. If you simply want to dominate the demonic way, our strength will be easy. But the problem is that you want to unify the demonic way, which is a bit troublesome. Why is that? You don't know that the current demonic forces in the central region have a well-deserved strongest overlord, which is regarded as a pilgrimage site by countless demonic cultivators called the Fire Worship Demon Cult. Yi Wusheng gritted his teeth. The leader of the Fire Worship Demon Cult is the recognized leader of the demonic path. If you want to unify the demonic path, you will first encounter resistance from the Fire Worship Demon Cult. Ji Zhenren sneered. I thought it was something else. It turned out that there was a famous junior in the demonic path. No matter how powerful he is only a Xuanxian cultivation. A mere Xuanxian is nothing in my eyes. As an old generation of demonic powerhouses in ancient times, he has a contemptuous mentality towards the powerhouses of this era. He thinks they are all cats and dogs, weak. I know that you, the leader, have great magical powers, and the Fire Worship Demon Cult can never match you, but the leader is called Hong Chenny, and he is the eldest disciple of Senior Yi. You have to weigh this relationship. Yi Wusheng said tentatively. He wanted to know, who was better, this shameless old man or Kai Mo's master? Who knew that Ji Zhenren was stunned at first, then laughed in anger, and exuded a cold aura. Bullshit. What a bullshit, Senior Yi, I still have to look at his face. Before, Yi Junlin killed Shui Tu in Tianyuanzhou. Although his aura shocked many immortal king-level creatures behind the scenes, some more secretive beings did not notice it and knew nothing about it. And Ji Zhenren was obviously the latter. He just came out a few days ago, and the news was still relatively closed. For Senior Yi, who was passed down by word of mouth in the central region, he did not have a clear concept of strength in his heart. In this regard, Ji Zhenren was very angry and felt that Yi Wusheng was looking down on him. Master, calm down. Yi Wusheng was so scared that he knelt on the ground and trembled, and at the same time, his mind was full of thoughts. What's going on? Is Kai Mo's master very weak among these old monsters? Or is this old man too strong? I'll forgive you this time for your ignorance. I'll give you 10 days to unify the demonic forces in the central region in the name of the Bone Demon sect, and you must not make any mistakes. Anyone who stands in my way will be killed. Master Ji flashed, sat on the throne, and ordered in a cold tone. Yi Wusheng secretly groaned, but had no choice but to say yes. Yes, Master. At this time, the outside world didn't know that a real chaotic world was about to begin.